Hey, it's Conrad Thompson. Thanks for checking out the podcast here on YouTube. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notifications bell. You'll get a notice anytime we upload some new content. And when I'm not asking Bruce, hey, how big was Batista's? Well, you know. One of the things I like to do is help people save money. And if you're watching this video right now and you're in a 30-year loan, man, you're overpaying your single biggest bill and you may not even realize it. I want you to do a little experiment for me. Take your calculator out, multiply your monthly house payment by 360 payments. That's how many payments there are in a 30-year loan. That big scary number, that's your total of payments. You're looking at that number? You know you can do better. Keep more of your own money right now and go to savewithconrad.com. Or maybe you've got credit card debt. Man, it's not a matter of if I can save you money with that. Your average interest rate on a credit card is more than 20%. And by the way, all the interest you pay on those credit cards, it's not tax deductible. Whereas the mortgage interest, well, that is tax deductible. So if you owe this debt, it's up to you how to pay it back. Doesn't it make sense to get the cheapest rate possible and the greatest tax deduction possible? Find out how much money you can save right now for free at savewithconrad.com. You don't need perfect credit. Even scores in the 500s can be approved, and it's no cost out of pocket. But maybe best of all, we're licensed in more than 40 states. We can help more families than ever before. But how much can we save you? Find out right now for free with a quick quote from savewithconrad.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the main event.
Welcome to WHW Monday. Tony Schiavone and Conrad Thompson.
Jim Crockett First Arcade, 605 NWA. TV title, Cajun Omni, the Bunkhouse Stampede. Flair and Horseman, Garvin, Bogey, Magnum, Dusty, Express Tag Team. Turner, Barton, Mid-South Joint World Championship Wrestling.
Talking about the great years of World Championship Wrestling, the NWA, and Jim Crockett Promotions.
Tony and Friends North, they win. Look, Schiavone's back again. World title split off, center stage, Bischoff. Disney, Hogan, and Nitro. New World Order and the Crow. Thunder, Russo, Arquette Champ, Vinnie Mac, simulcast. Tony's back with Conrad, not your classy podcast. Watch along, try not to laugh. Lowest rules can't pass. This wasn't the initial plan. Tom Zigg's a good-looking man. Klondike Bill, make a chant. Tommy, you come over here.
What happened when? WHW Monday. And now, let's go to the ring. And here's your co-host. Hey, it's Conrad Thompson.
Hey, it's Conrad Thompson, and you're listening to What Happened When? With the voice of your childhood, Tony Schiavone. Tony, what's going on, man? How are you?
Oh, Conrad, it's a spooky week.
Why
I'm fine.
You sound like an asshole.
Maybe it's because I am.
Man, I'm so excited. It's Halloween Havoc week here on adfreeshows.com and on CTE. On Monday, we kicked off Halloween Havoc week with Eric Bischoff talking 1993. Arn Anderson just dropped a little watch along for the horrific Chamber of Horrors match from 1991. Today, you and I are covering 1989. Tomorrow, Jim Ross will be here covering 1990. It's Halloween Havoc week, baby. And we had this planned back in March, long before somebody dusted off the brand and tried to stick it up your ass on AEW.
Yeah, they tried to actually, it's pretty apparent they're not only trying to stick it up our ass, they're trying to stick it up Cody's ass as well.
Yeah.
So I get it. I get it. I mean, here's the deal. And here's why I get it. Once a dickhead, always a dickhead.
Oh, okay.
Won't change your stripes. Once an asshole, always an asshole.
All right.
Won't change your stripes. I get it. Once a motherfucker, always a motherfucker.
Okay.
I get it. You know, so there you go.
All right.
So I think I made that pretty clear. Other than that, it's good to be with you, man.
Hey, I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to watch Halloween Havoc 1989. This is a long show, so I say we hop to it because we got a lot to wade through on our way here. And Tony, you know how we do here on the show. We usually have a little help from our friends and they will give us a countdown. By the way, before we get going, I want to remind you that you get all these shows early and ad free over at patreon.com/WHW Monday and at adfreeshows.com. And I can't believe this is real. But by the end of the month, you and I are going to sit down and crank out not one, not two, but 3 pieces of bonus content over for patreon.com/WHW Monday. 2 of those will be exclusive. 1 of them will be coming to ad-free shows. And the one that's coming to ad-free shows, I don't know that you're ready for this. It's the worst pay-per-view in history. It's the Heroes of Wrestling show. Have you heard about this?
Oh, when you said worst pay-per-view in history, I thought you were going to hit me with a WCW from 2001 or 2000.
No, this is okay. This is real bad. The main event, Heroes of Wrestling. Okay. Let me just run you through what it is. Okay. First of all, I guess I should give you the context. It was from October 10th, 1999. 99. Samoan SWAT team are going to take on Marty Jannetty and Tommy Rogers. Greg Valentine is going to wrestle George Steele. Yes, that George Steele. Too Cold Scorpio is going to wrestle Julio Fantastico. Okay. The Bushwhackers are going to wrestle the Iron Sheik and Nikolai Volkov in 99. Tully Blanchard is going to wrestle Stan Lane in 99. Abdul the Butcher is going to wrestle the One Man Gang. Jimmy Snuka is going to wrestle Bob Orton Jr. in 1999.
My God.
And then in our main event, Jim Neidhart is going to team with King Kong Bundy to take on Jake Roberts and Yokozuna in 1999.
This must been also backyard wrestling at the nursing home.
It was from Casino Magic in Mississippi. Yeah.
Was this a Herb Abrams production?
No.
Okay.
I don't even. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure Herb Abrams was actually dead by then.
All right. I got my years mixed up. So I don't know. If nothing else, it's worth venturing. I mean, it's worth staring at, right?
Well, here's the thing. Michael St. John, friend of the show, is the backstage interviewer. Dutch Mantell is doing commentary. Mantell. And the commissioner, when you think about all the commissioners you could have, are you ready for this?
Sure.
Captain Lou Albano. It was supposed to be Gordon Soley on the call, by the way, but he came down with throat cancer that ultimately would take him 9 months later. So he's not here. And thankfully, I think that just means that we have a merciful God, cause I wouldn't have wanted Gordon Soley trying to pretend to make this a real call.
Okay. Who was the promoter for, well, we'll get into this when you get it on ad-free shows.
It is horrible. And I can't wait for me and you to watch it and make fun of it. But that's not what we're doing today. Today, we're talking about one of my favorite shows ever, Halloween Havoc 1989. This is the very first Halloween Havoc. We wrestling fans, we love Halloween Havoc. Now, unfortunately, you weren't there for this one. Would this have been a show that you went over to Howard Finkel's and watched?
Yeah. I as a matter of fact, I watched all of the WCW pay-per-views and Clash of the Champions at Howard Finkel's house during that time.
That's pretty fun.
Yeah, it was. Howard, Howard made it like, he always had something to eat.
Yep. Steak burgers.
Yes, it was good. It was a lot of fun. I felt part of the family up there at that time.
That's before they ran you out of town on a rail, right?
Yeah, they did. Thank God they did. Woo.
I'm excited about this. Tony, let's tag in one of our friends and let's get this show going. By the way, in case you've been living under a rock, this is a watch along. So pull out your network, pull it out. We want to see it. Then go over to WCW, scroll down to 1989, fire up Halloween Havoc, get to 000s, or I guess 6 zeros. You know what I mean? Then we'll get this thing going, baby.
I don't know if they're doing this a lot, but I know when you and I are recording this, they are, once you hit play, be careful because you may get a commercial first. They're started doing that now, I got my commercial out of the way. Yeah. So I want to remind fans, get their commercial out of the way and go to all zeros. And by the way, if you never want a commercial, just go to adfreeshows.com. Ding, ding, ding. How about that, man? Ooh, that's teamwork right there. That's teamwork. Like we've been doing this for a while or something. Yes, absolutely. You ready? I'm ready for our hot tag here from one of our low-key big hogs. Tony, take it away. Here it comes. And step up to the microphone and give us your name and give us a countdown.
Hi, this is Steve Harris, proud low-key big hog member from San Jose, California. And I've got an important message to share with you.
When I start making love, I don't just make love, I be stroking.
Now ready for the countdown. 3, 2, 1, play.
Fucking jam. You know, how rare is it, by the way, that we can go back and watch wrestling from more than 30 years ago and they open is wrestler tombstones and it shows their ghosts floating above it. And unbelievably, none of them are dead. Cause you know, any other show from this era, especially if we're watching the WWF, they're all dead.
Right. Well, you know, I think the Road Warriors are in this show. Is that right?
Yeah, I just meant just now we had the visual of the wrestler tombstones and the ghosts. There's plenty of dead folks on the show. Hell, there's a lot of people in the crowd who were dead. It's 30 years ago. Just say,
yeah, I get you. Gordon Soley's here. Bob Cottle's here. And then there's our buddy, Jim Ross, and there's Gordon. Let me offer my special welcome to all of you for Halloween Havoc. In 2020, I'll be glad that I was dead 20 years because I wouldn't want to see society the way it is now. My good friend Tony Schiavone is just like me. He doesn't watch TV. He doesn't know what's going on in sports. He doesn't watch CNN or Fox News or pay attention to his wife. Let's go back to the ring.
By the way, we should mention we are knee deep in the Jim Herd era. And Lord, I know for a long time it's been LOL Jim Herd, but we did get some great stuff from WCW in 1989. I think he took over in early 89, but look at this announce crew. First of all, we've ran that piece of shit, nothing happening, son of a plumber, Tony Schiavone out of town on a rail. And we've replaced them with Jim Ross, Bob Cottle, and Gordon Soley. And unfortunately, Chris Cruz. They can't all be winners. What do you think Chris Cruz is thinking here besides how can I ruin wrestling for everyone in 2019 and write an athletic commission because I'm a fucking goof who doesn't realize it's all the work anyway.
Hello, everybody. I'm Chris Cruz and I'm a stooge. As a matter of fact, most people backstage know that I'm a piece of shit. However, that did not stop Jim Herd from giving me a paycheck that obviously never earned. Back to you, Jim.
I love Gary Michael Capetta. Let's hear some of this.
Live from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. It is set for one fall with a 20-minute time limit. Introducing first to my left, hailing from Syracuse, New York. He weighs 237 pounds, Captain Mike Rotunda. And ladies and gentlemen, his opponent from Minneapolis, Minnesota, weighing 248 pounds, the Z-Man.
I love Gary Michael Capetta's calls. I was so glad that we got to see him very briefly at the AEW event last year. Maybe it was earlier this year. At this point, 2020 feels like it's been 5 years.
Yeah.
But I'll never forget his voice and his calls. He was the WCW answer to Howard Finkel. And Lord knows, I mean, absolutely no disrespect to Dave Penzer. I'm just saying, I think we all get nostalgic about what we grew up on. And while Penzer was certainly the voice of Nitro in WCW's heyday, the WCW I grew up on as a little kid, because as we're watching this, I'm 8 years old. It's Gary Michael Capetta. And I'll never forget the way he used to introduce Sid Vicious when Sid was coming to the ring. He'd say how tall he was and how much he weighed, and hailing from anywhere he damn well pleases. And it fucking tickled me as a kid. I don't know why, but his voice just hits for me. So shout out to Gary Michael Capetta, old GMC.
Well, you know what? When I first started, I wasn't a fan of Gary Capetta's, and it's because I was a fan of Tom Miller's.
That's what you grew up on.
That's what I grew up on. But then once I got to know Gary and started to work with him, and I started to really get into his stuff. Can I give a plug here?
Please do.
Okay. And this is, you're going to say, oh, you're a company guy. Yeah, I am, but I'm sincere. I think Justin Roberts is tremendous.
Oh yeah, of course.
I really do. And I've gotten to know him, but I just think his work is tremendous. And, he's one of the guys behind the scenes that JR gives a hard time to, and they go back and forth, and it's actually pretty hilarious. Well, JR gives everybody a hard time, right?
Only when they're awake. What's funny though, is I've noticed if you try to give any back to JR, he immediately baby faces and says you're picking on him.
Yeah.
So he's insulated himself. Like I'll never forget, we were doing 3-way shows. Boy, that sounds weird. But me and Bruce Pritchard would start doing shows with, well, that was the worst English ever, but you know what I'm saying? Me, Jim Ross, Bruce Pritchard, myself would do a show together, and we would inevitably, someone in the crowd would want to make a reference about sassafras or her or whatever.
Right.
And he just looked at us. I'll never forget this. You may have actually been at this show. I think it was a WrestleMania weekend. And he says, "Are y'all making fun of my facial paralysis?" And it was like, oh, no. But he can give us shit all the time. We make one little jab and it's, "Oh, you're picking on my disability." My wife got killed, Connie.
Yeah.
It's like, God damn it. What the fuck? I can't say anything here.
I just spent, 2 nights at his brand new condo. And, he is, I have to say, man, all the shit he gives us and all, he can be a salty old dog, but he's a hell of a host.
Oh, he's a hell of a host. Great guy. I've spent, the weekend, or I guess it was midweek, several weeks ago in Oklahoma. Same thing. Great host. Couldn't be a better bud, a better pal. But when it comes to bullshitting, you got your work cut out for it if you want to out bullshit Jim Ross.
The best. And he knows it.
So I'm curious, does his place in, Jacksonville reek of, sex, cigarettes, and regret?
I don't know what regret smells like, but the other two.
You'll know it when you smell it. You know a bad decision when you smell it.
Hey, you know what a good decision is?
What?
Having Tom Zink open your show.
He's a damn good looking man, Tony. It's been well.
Yes, he
Look
is,
at this angle. I love that angle. We should have seen this more in wrestling.
Right. You don't see it. You're right. You don't see enough of it. And again, that's thinking outside the box.
That's Jim Herd, baby. He gets a bad rap. I like, I just recently started studying some more of this era of WCW, like what went wrong. And I had this debate with Jim Ross, and I want to ask your opinion, because it's not all good stuff with Herd that I discover, of course, because there's a lot of bad to go around, but I do think he was like the first corporate wrestling promoter, in the sense that everybody else had like one single solitary booker, whereas here they have a booking committee.
Yeah.
So, Dusty's out. So now Flair wants a spot on the booking committee. And so he gets one, but so do Jim Ross. And so does other folks like Eddie Gilbert, Kevin Sullivan, Jim Cornette. So
Jim Barnett.
Yeah. Jim Barnett. There's lots of gyms. Every gym in Atlanta had a spot at the table. But I think that's probably, and I don't know this to be true, but don't you imagine that's the first time there really was a booking committee? Because to this day, the WWE still does it. Now, of course, ultimately the decisions are made by one person, and I get that, but there's a whole SmackDown team. There's a whole Raw team.
Well, when I first went to the WWE in '89, Vince was the booker, but he had people with him, like Pat Patterson, like Bruce back then. So I guess you could have considered that a booking committee. I'm not so sure in the same breath. Maybe not so much a booking committee, because Vince was the man ultimately in charge, But Jim Herd was the first corporate guy, and I really think, to Jim Herd's defense, I don't think anybody they could have hired anybody with no wrestling experience and put them in that spot, and they would have failed as much as Jim Herd would have failed. In other words, I think it was the way it was designed for failure, not necessarily the man himself. Now, obviously the man himself makes decisions and does things based on what he thinks. I mean, we've had laughs about it before. We had a you know, we've had like 4 episodes of Slapdick Theater on our Patreon channel, WHW Monday, to where I make fun of Jim Herd's decisions, like the ding dongs, like he wanted a hunchback to be a wrestler, and he wanted a Long John Silver with a peg leg, and that was crazy shit. But I don't think it. In other words, I think, and I know I'm rambling on here. I sound like Eric, don't I? I think that you could have put anybody in that position that did not have a wrestling background, and we would have come up with something much the same.
No, if you really want to know what it sounds like to talk to Eric Bischoff, here would be an example. Tony, do you know what topped the Billboard 100 this week in 1989?
I do not.
It was Miss You Much by Janet Jackson. They barely beat out the Love Song by The Cure. And who could forget Cover Girl coming in at number 6 from New Kids on the Block, or Love in an Elevator by Aerosmith. And Lord knows the kids were all about Bust a Move by a young fella named Young MC.
Wait, hey, hang on. He recites the Billboard Top 100.
Yeah, he really likes it.
Oh, he does?
He thinks that it adds context to what we're doing here, you see. And while I've got you, Tony, why don't you take a guess at what was number 1 at the box office? What type of movies were people really into this week in 1989?
Hey, Eric, I know what was number 1. It's a song, I Don't Give a Fuck by Tony Schiavone.
Nope, that's actually incorrect. It's Look Who's Talking. Everybody remembers John Travolta and of course Bruce Willis, and who could forget Kirstie Alley? That weekend they had quite the box office. Let me tell you, they opened up to 12 million and it built on week 2, Tony. That's good word of mouth. They drew $14 million, set another record at the box office.
Are you ribbing me here?
Well, you see, I came up with this strategy, Tony, because thankfully Westwood One has sold all of our ad inventory. So we've got a stretch. And when Conrad told me we were doing a whole show on Ernest the Cat Miller and I had 13 commercials, I realized I'm going to need a little bit of help. So I started to do some research about what was happening in pop culture with regards to both music and film. Because if there's one thing I know about, it's how to filibuster. Oh, by the way, you would like this too, Tony. One of the questions on Ask Conrad, which is a little bonus thing we do over at adfreeshows.com.
Yeah.
The question was, if you guys, you and all of your co-hosts, we're going to go play putt-putt together and you're going to pair off into teams of 2, who would team with who and why? And I said, well, this is easy. Eric Bischoff and Bruce Pritchard are butt buddies from way back. So they're on a team. Tony Schiavone and Jim Ross practically live together. So they're on a team, and that leaves me and Arn. And Arn and I would win because even with a nerve injury, Arn Anderson has better hand-eye coordination than all the rest of us put together. So we win, but you would come in second and have the most fun. Your shoulders would be moving, cause that's how you laugh, is with a little shoulder shake, like you're Will Smith getting jiggy with it. But Jim Ross is going to motherfucking cuss everything about the experience, every hole, every club, every ball, everyone he sees. And he's also probably going to have a copper cup in his hand, and I'll let you figure that out. Now, the other team, they're going to finish last because Eric Bischoff is going to tell Bruce the history of putt-putt at every fucking hole.
Wow.
You know, the Egyptians started this game. I'll never forget. Paul Bischoff used to tell me.
He's the modern day Casey Kasem.
Dude, he started a sentence a couple months ago. My relationship with liver sausage. And I just cut it off right there. Like, wait a minute. You got a relationship with liver sausage? Is this, I hope this is right then I was thinking, I hope this is a different type of conversation than we had about kielbasa sausage and Klondike Bill.
Kielbasa. That's
what you said. Kielbasa.
Okay. I got it. I'm just thinking of the team of you and Arn Anderson. Who has the biggest noggin?
Oh, me.
You really? I mean, his is really widened out over the last couple of years. He saw me the other day this is Arn Anderson, and it won't come across because he's got to say it in the Arn Anderson, Marty Lundy delivery.
Yeah.
He said, "What you doing there? You look like an olive with 4 toothpicks sticking out of it." He said it.
Dude, I legitimately.
It slayed me, man.
I legitimately have no idea where he comes up with half the shit that he does. Yeah. And it doesn't even make sense, but somehow I find myself laughing at it. It feels like an old Roddy Piper trick.
Yeah, that's right. It's all in the delivery. It's all in the delivery, man.
Boy, look at this referee here, Nick Patrick. He looks like a goddamn anteater eating a snow cone. What does that even mean?
I don't know, but exactly.
Old Bray's dad right here looks like Alf if he wasn't ready for prime time. What? I bet Tom Zink's built a play set before. You want to guess? What? What does that mean? Catch him on the monkey bars all the time. You know what I'm talking about. No, I don't, but it's funny the way you said it.
Hey, these two kids at that time.
Hell of a match here.
Yes, they are.
A real hard hitting old school match. And by the way, Meltzer kind of dug it. I mean, not as much as you would expect, but I'm just saying, usually if Z-Man's out here, it's getting a negative star.
Yeah.
He says Z-Man pinned Mike Rotunda in 13:23 when Rotunda did a crossbody block off the middle rope and Zink reverses it for the pin. Zink got a lukewarm reaction as he was booed almost as much as he was cheered, which is a better faith than some of the faces later in the card. They did nothing for the first 3 minutes and no sustained action for the first half of the match. I disagree. Zink caught an elbow in the eye and his eye watered up at 5 minutes. Rotunda got Zink in a head scissors and the boring chant started. The fans were cheering when Rotunda worked Zink over, although they cheered the finish when Zink won. I think they were cheering more just because the match was over. The last 2 minutes were good anyway, 3/4 of a star. Occasionally, you see some bias in Dave's words, and this feels like one of them, because that was not a bad match to me.
No, it was good. And what I think about when I see a match like this? Now, obviously, we've talked about how much good looking guy I think Tom Zink is and how much of a really misused, underused talent he was. But I think in all of this, and I've often thought this because he didn't really have much of a personality, Mike Rotunda was an underrated worker. Mike could do a lot of stuff, buddy. And that's why he's a coach right now. Still, I think he is, isn't he?
Yeah.
They didn't shit on him like they've shit on all their other people.
Oh no. Yeah. He got shit on. He got let go.
He did. Rotunda did.
Yeah.
Of course he did.
Here we go in the back now. And we've got Chris Cruz with Bruno Sammartino. What do you think it sounded like, Tony?
Okay. I'm standing here with the living legend, Bruce. Thank you very much. And Bruno, did you know that not only am I a backstage commentator, but I'm also probably one of the most hated stooges in all of wrestling. Well, I do understand that. Back when I used to wrestle at Madison Square Garden and used to beat the guy like Ivan Koloff and superstar Billy Graham, and I even had a match where Stan Hansen broke my neck, I would often say, one of these days they're going to have a stooge hold the microphone. Not one of the good guys, not one of the guys who really works hard in wrestling and really loves the craft. It's going to have a stooge. And now here we are later in 1989, and you're the stooge. Well, thank you for that. Thank you for recognizing me. But, I do want to tell you that I hope that they keep you quarantined or keep you isolated so that you won't write down all the stuff that we say and report it to the dirt sheets. Well, I guarantee you that I will. So there you go. Thank you very much. That is Bruno Sammartino, and I'm Chris Cruz from the stooge position backstage.
I love you for calling it the stooge position. Let's track it here.
Time limit. It is a special 6-minute.
Oh, they're not playing the old theme song, but dude, look at the entrance set. This is a WCW innovation at the time. The WWF doesn't have big sets like this. Obviously they're going to get more elaborate and bigger and better as time goes on, and everybody sort of joins the deal, but a stage with all the lighting, eventually a ramp, they become signatures for WCW, and it all happened on Jim Herd's watch. And check out Dr. Death here, still here for the 1987 acquisition of the Watts territory, the second, or I guess technically the third version of the Midnight Express here in tow. Huntsville's own Bobby Eaton, and of course Stan Lane, who looks like a shrunken Lex Luger. And Jim Cornette, looking as only he can look. Sequin Jones here, and he's going to take the stick. Here we go. Let's track it.
Billy, are we ready to have some fun tonight, huh? Ladies and gentlemen, I present the deadliest six-man tag team combination in wrestling. First, the four-time All-American from the University of Oklahoma, the toughest man in the world, Steve Dr. Death Williams. And his partners, the greatest combination in wrestling. They've wrecked more homes than Hurricane Hugo. Beautiful Bobby and Sweet Stan, the Midnight Express. And ladies and
What a great little intro. It is interesting how much we learn about wrestling as time goes on, because in 1989, nobody was worried about the hard cam. And this is a guy who's going to teach that. Oh, how about this presentation? Samoan SWAT team throwing flaming sticks at each other here. Quite the presentation, huh?
Oh yeah, man. I thought they were fucking cool.
It is cool.
Yeah. And I thought their manager was fucking cool. If listen, you talking about old school guy. Fucking Sir Oliver Humperdinck, buddy.
Dude, they're carrying the torches down.
Yeah. Yeah. Get in our way. We're going to fucking burn your hair. Well, there they go.
I was going to say, you better hand that off before you get to the fans. And they do. Some poor guy has to look, he's patting it out in the background. Look at that. He's never worked with that shit before. Yeah. You talk about their referee, or their manager rather. It's Sir Oliver Humperdinck, who's doing his best Captain Lou here. They're calling him the Big Kahuna. He's got the big belly exposed, got the Hawaiian shirt open. And how about the Samoan Savage is here?
Listen, if you ever knew, and I did know, Humperdinck, and if you ever knew him, you just knew what just a cool guy he was. He was old school. He was one of the guys. He probably, look, he fell on his ass. He was one of the guys who had probably more marks on his forehead than most people.
Like a road map.
Just, and he's one of the guys that I really feel bad about that I didn't, stay in touch with him enough before he passed away, because he was good. He was a cool guy. A lot of cool guy. I mean, you know, they say, you ever had somebody tell you, if you had a time machine, what would you like to do with it? Something like that. And I've got so many things I'd like to do with it. What I'd like to do most of all would be to go back and visit with some of the wrestlers who have since passed on. And I feel like I missed that out of my life. I have a lot of regrets, as everybody does in their life. And one of my biggest regrets is not spending more, well, I know he moved and I get that, but not spending more time with Dusty before he passed away. That's one of my biggest regrets in my life. So anyway, I feel the same about Oliver Humperdinck and Lee Marshall. There's a lot of them out there. Roddy Piper.
Look who your referee is right there.
Tommy Young.
Wait, what's his name?
Tommy Young.
There you go. 2 3/4 stars here for this one. Meltzer would say that, the match was very good in spots, but disjointed in other spots. I'm kind of surprised the Samoan SWAT team and the Samoan Savage are going to go over here.
How about that? You know what? I hate to say this because it's wrong for me to even, oh my God, there's a fucking ghoul in the ring, in the crowd. It's wrong for me to even think this, but as great of an athlete as Dr. Death was, what the fuck's going on outside? Almost looked like that they were confronting somebody in the stands at first.
There's a lot of stalling, a lot of bullshit gets in the way here. It takes forever.
Anyway, here and this year, when I think about Dr. Death, I think about Brawl for All, and I shouldn't, because he was a tremendous athlete and he had some great matches. He was UWF champion, but man, that Brawl for All, that episode on Vice, really, Dark Side of the Ring, really got to me. Maybe it's because Jim Cornette said he would piss on Vince Russo's grave. I don't know. Could have been. You still with me?
I am.
Okay.
I was just letting you do your thing. And I did want to ask, did you happen to hear about, Eric Bischoff's travel day from hell?
No, I did not.
He had some business on the East Coast.
Uh-huh.
So he was flying home to the middle of nowhere, and he has two options. He could fly out of Cody and it'd take for fucking ever, or he can drive up to Billings, Montana, and there's more flights there. So he used to drive 4 hours to Billings, Montana. Anyway, he gets the first thing out from the East Coast the other day, and he's into Dallas for a connection by like 9:30 a.m.
Okay.
He's there for more than 12 hours.
Oh my God.
And then he finally makes it to Billings, Montana after a full 24-hour period, or what feels like it. And he's only got to drive 4 hours home.
Mm.
So I think at this point, Bischoff is glad to A, live in the middle of nowhere, and B, not have any pressing business that he has to be on a plane every week for. And that's probably even unique for you this year because you're just right up the road. How many hours is it from Atlanta to Jacksonville? 3, 4,
5.
But you're like, I ain't getting on a plane for that. I'm just driving.
Yeah. Right.
So it's been what, March since you were on a plane?
The very first recorded taping we had in Jacksonville, I hopped on a plane and then I said, I'm not doing that anymore.
Yeah.
So I just rent cars. Listen, and that's a perfect example of, and I'm not blaming COVID for this. I mean, you can for, I guess, some of the number of flights, the reduction in the number of flights, but going to the airport's a pain in the fucking ass.
Oh yeah, of course.
It is. It is a pain in the fucking ass. And I still do Georgia football and I drive everywhere. I drove to Arkansas, 10 hours away. I'm going to drive to Missouri, which is at the end of the earth. I've driven everywhere. I drove to Notre Dame back in 2017. I drive everywhere with the exception of, when we go on the West Coast. And if I had time, I'd drive that too. Fuck that flying shit. That should be a shirt. Fuck that flying shit. Look at Doc, man. Get him, buddy. Get him. I would think that if you're wrestling, there'd be something about Doc that you just really wouldn't want to get in the ring with him. Because he's one of the guys that, well, look, I discovered, and I always knew in my mind, I discovered that when the cameras are rolling and the lights are on, as the old cliche goes, that big, bruising, strong guys sometimes are into like a mode. And here's how I discovered it. When Brody Lee won the TNT championship and I came into the ring and interviewed him and he said, you and everybody else created me. That fucker grabbed me grabbed me. And I'm thinking, fuck, he's in shooting mode right now. And Brody's a great kid, great guy, one of my favorites. But he grabbed my ass. I'm thinking, fuck. And I told him after, I said, you stiff son of a bitch. So I can imagine that when the lights are on and things are rolling here for Doc, that some of these punches that you're seeing and some of these holds are not working holds because he's in that mode. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like the way Mike Hegstrand was. Ask anybody who's ever worked with Mike Hegstrand when the lights were on how he was. Look at this, man. Fuck. So I get that. So anyway, there would be a lot about me that would say, I ain't getting in the ring with that fucker. Because, it's well known that you list the real tough guys you didn't want to fuck with in wrestling. Doc's on that list. And it's a short list. Not saying that he was a mean guy and an angry guy. But he was a great guy, but he just he was something else, man.
How was Cornette in this era? You know, I know you're not here at this point in 89, but you had been around him in 88. You would come back and be with him a little bit in 90 before he puts in his notice.
Yeah.
Did you notice the difference from when you left to when you came back in, Jim?
Yep. Sure did.
Can you tell us about that?
Yeah. There you can, basically, draw the line of Jim Herd on that. Jim Herd's leadership and Jim Herd's, the way he ran things just didn't set well with, old school Jim Cornette. And I think it really, I don't say tainted him, but really turned his attitude around. I mean, listen, Cornette was, when he first came into TBS and we did those interviews and he did the shit, he was wonderful. And he saw that as the biggest moment of his career. And it was at that time. Now he'd been in for many years and he knew what he was doing, and he had to deal with Jim Herd and all that bullshit. And I think it changed his attitude a great deal. It probably is part of the, it's all, I mean, we're all part of our past, the makeup of our past. I'm such a great guy and take so much bullshit, undeserved bullshit from you. And that's part of my past. That's what I've been told.
What do you think of this work so far? I mean, the Samoan SWAT team, at different incarnations would be managed by Paulie Dangerously and, the big kahuna here. I actually liked them better managed by Paulie. But what do you think here in this era? Was this a good matchup, the Midnight Express versus them?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I do. I'm interested to know the backstory of, and I'm sure there's some reason why Dr. Death is with them. But absolutely. I do. I like Bobby's work. Who didn't like Bobby's work? Now here's the difference between having Bobby in the ring and having Dr. Death in the ring. Even when the lights were on, Bobby knew how to take care of you. Not to say that Doc didn't, but Bobby was not only a great worker, he was a great worker. And the boys knew that he could take care of you. He just knew what he was doing. I'm not so sure that there will ever be anybody like Bobby Eaton again, that knew how to work a match and knew how to take care of his, he could do anything. See, I mean, and all of his stuff looked good, but all of his stuff was, the boys would always say, he's great to work with because he's easy. And that meant that he knew how to take care of who he was working with. He wouldn't hurt you. He knew what to do, and he knew how to make it look good. And that was one of the great things about Bobby Eaton. Oh, I do have some inside information about this match. Paulie was going to be the manager here, but there was a buffet in the back and he was still eating by the time.
What the fuck is wrong with you? Why do you do this?
They went, I'm just bringing fact out.
You're being a dick fuck.
No, I'm not.
Yes, you are.
I'm telling you stuff that I remember. There was right now, there were 5 minutes in the match. It's well known that he was finishing his third pumpkin pie by then. So, and pumpkin pie, I understand in Philadelphia, not as good as it is in the South. What I understand, but I'm just, just a fact. Wow. See, fat guys can make fun of other fat guys, can't they?
Yeah, but y'all aren't friends.
No.
So see the difference?
I'm just making an observation. And you should feel pretty good about it because, your head is gigantic like Arn's, but it's nothing compared to that noggin he's got on him. It's like the Barry Bonds noggin right at the end of Barry Bonds' run.
For a guy with a little furry dick, you talk a lot of shit.
What does that even mean? That's Norn Andersonism.
No, it's not. Which part don't you understand? Baby dick, big mouth. This is a long match, by the way. Bobby Eaton's putting on a show though, is he not?
Yeah, he is, man.
I'm watching this back and I'm realizing this was not a good show.
Not a good show.
I really wanted to like this cause I love Halloween Havoc, but I think I like 90 so much better. I like the Doom and Steiners match on this show.
Yeah.
And obviously the main event is fucking hot fire. And I think there was even like a whole Road Warriors Skyscrapers dust up here somewhere on the card. But boy, some of this undercard stuff from this era is fucking dreadful.
Mm-hmm.
Cause I just,
and why
I got ahead. I guess I need to give a spoiler. I saw the next match is Tommy Rich and the Cuban Assassin. And then I saw the Freebirds had to wrestle the Dynamic Dudes. And I really rethought all of my life choices up to this point. Like how did I get here? How did I have an opportunity to work with the voice of my childhood? And I said, hey, I got an idea. Why don't we watch Cuban Assassin wrestle Tommy Rich? Somebody say something about boring as shit.
Well, it is Halloween. Hey,
why don't I dress up like a wrestler? Used to be NWA champion before I turned my waistline into a Dunlap tire and my forehead into a fucking Rand McNally. You know what I had to do to get this belt? Don't believe the rumors. I had to make towns and pop the baby faces, make him girls holler. Flair used to kiss all the girls, make them cry. I just skipped to the end, make them cry. You ever dip your balls in peroxide, Schiavone?
Somebody say something about peroxide.
You see,
is there a bigger gimmick than Michael Hayes? No. Biggest gimmick ever. He's if somebody said, is Carney's definition in the encyclopedia, in the dictionary, there would be a picture of Michael Hayes. Carney. Look at, oh man. I love Sir Oliver Humperdinck. See, Bobby's punches are so good, but they're such great working punches. That was not a working clothesline, I don't think. He just got rolled over, man. Bobby doing the selling.
Every time I look up, Bobby Eaton's rolling around the mat on the outside.
I know.
But in fairness, they're going to get the heat on Dr. Death like that.
No, Bobby knew what he was doing. Not to say the doc didn't, but Bobby did.
Oh, hey, Tony, why don't we talk about politics?
No, fuck you.
Wait, hang on. Give me a Gordon Soley response. Hey, Tony, why don't we talk about politics?
Fuck you. We got into a little politicking mode one time. And one of our listeners on Patreon said, you better stay off that like you always talked about. So I went back in on the Westwood One version
and you clipped it out.
Covered it up. You
know what? I'm so glad, because I was like, I can't believe he did all that.
Mm-hmm.
Went on a little tirade, but I'm glad somebody talked you out of it.
Yeah, it wasn't good. I just got fired up about one of my sons and his thoughts. And so fuck that. We move on. And again, Bobby Eaton.
Jobber Schiavone.
So I wonder that, Bobby he could talk, but he wasn't good at talking. In other words, he mumbled a lot. And I just wonder how he called spots mumbling. Just because the heels called the match normally.
Well, here's the thing. If you think that these guys can go work with Japanese performers who don't even speak English, they're going to figure out Bobby.
Yeah, you're right. No, you're right. I
watch foot.
Yeah, right.
Dang no boom heart, man. Backdrop, get it again.
And here's one of the things that you got to consider, that if you're a good worker, if you got a couple of good workers in the ring, you don't always have to call everything.
No, just go for it. And you're paying attention and just react.
Right. Absolutely. And
a comedian would call that crowd work.
Sure.
By the way, speaking of crowd work, can I just tell you that I'm pretty excited tonight as people are hearing this. If you're in Huntsville, you need to be at Stand Up Live because great friend of the show, Shuli Agar, is going to be here. And, I just had the pleasure of seeing him a couple of weeks ago with Cassio Kid, and man, they were funny as shit. It's funny cause I think I pissed Cassio off because, he said, man, this is the first time I've done stand up in however long. And I said, well, no big deal. If you want me to, I can just fax over your whole set list. I've seen your show 36 fucking times. And he took great offense to that. I don't know why. So
Really?
he tried all new stuff and it was great, but about half of the show was crowd work, and Cassio actually, did the whole Groundlings thing out in LA. So he is very, very comfortable with like sketch comedy and improv comedy and just off the cuff, real time freestyling, as I like to say.
Right.
And man, he fucking crushed me. And Shuli hadn't, because he was from the hotbed of Queens, New York. He hadn't done stand up since March. So he wanted to go try all of his bits. So apparently he did 4 shows and did different stuff every single show. Now he's got a new set worked out, and you can see it tonight at Stand Up Live here in Huntsville.
Did Shuli move in with you?
No,
Just wonder.
he bought a house, maybe 3 streets over from where Silva was living. Silva just moved too. But Shuli found that, you know, for what he was paying in Queens, he could get a damn 3-story house here with 2 acres of land. So his kids used to wake up and see homeless men shitting in the street in Queens. And now they wake up and hand feed deer off of their screen porch. So people made fun, but who's laughing now?
Some really interesting comments in that discussion you just had.
Shitting in the streets.
Yeah. And Dave Silva moving.
Yeah. Dave Silva moved. He's still in Huntsville. But when he first came to town, he wasn't ready to buy yet. He wanted to figure out the lay of the land and, you know, get comfortable, get familiar. So he found a section of town where he thought was okay, rented a house, very quickly realized, oh, well, we're backstage here and we've got Gordon Soley and a very jacked, great shape, maybe the best shape he's ever been. Look at the 6-pack on Terry Funk. But first, let's hear from Gary Hart. What do you think he's saying here?
Well, you know, Gordon Soley, I'm from the streets of Chicago, and I take no bullshit. I may be one of the best minds in wrestling that's never been used, but the man to my left, make that right. I'm putting my left hand. Well, I want to tell you, Dusty Rhodes, he sucks eggs, and his son, Dustin Rhodes, sucks eggs. I'm not going to say anything about his son, Cody, because he's Tony Schiavone's boss, and he don't want to get it back to him. But by God, tonight, I'm going to take down Ric Flair for the millionth time. How many times have Ric Flair and I worked? God damn, Gordon Soley, your breath smells like gin. Nevertheless, I'd just like to say, Ric Flair, you're going down. I may end up pile driving you on the table. Wait a minute, that's to come. Or did that happen? Something like that. Hey, it's David Sierra time. The Cuban assassin. Where's the camera, Dave? There you go. Oh, he missed it. Dave's got a road map on his forehead too. Another good guy. Somebody say something about Cuban sandwich. I like them. Cheese on them. Swiss cheese, I think. Pickles. Pulled pork, ham. Toasted sandwich. Toasted bun. Pressed down like a panini. Why does the word panini make me laugh?
Because you're Italian.
From Italy.
Italy.
Somebody say something about Cuban assassin. Hey.
I wonder in this era, did somebody say, Tommy, do you not lift weights? No, I do them 12-ounce curls and calisthenics. Oh, so you just use your own body weight? No, I use the rat's weight. The rat's weight? Yeah, I didn't mean it in a derogatory term for females. I just mean there's been an infestation. I got to clean them out. By the way, have we talked about that I had a fucking field mouse that was like living in my backyard?
Well, damn. Guys should have moved out.
So check this out.
Jesus Christ.
It became a deal. I'll even send you a picture. You won't believe this, but
I don't now already. Go ahead.
So, we've been doing some construction. And so there's been some dirt moving next door.
Yeah.
And so I guess these things ran up like the back of my little mountain here.
Mm-hmm.
And I've got like a drain pipe so I can hose off my back tile porch, and the hose or the PVC pipe runs underneath this flower bed that's built in and out a retaining wall. So you could just, if there is dirt or dust or debris or whatever, you just hose it out. Well, this little motherfucker started climbing in there and coming in. So now he's in the backyard by the pool and the outdoor kitchen. So I think, okay, we'll fix that. And I put some wire mesh over the front. So I'm thinking, okay, no more debris will go there, but no fucking little mice are going to come through here either.
Right.
So then he gets creative. He goes around the gate or goes around the landscaping and comes up underneath the gate. So then I had to go find like a commercial application for what I guess are called whiskers that you would put on the bottom of a door. You know what I'm talking about though. It looks like eyelashes on the bottom of a door,
right?
But it keeps the shit out. Well, I'll be damned if he didn't figure out, hey, if I push hard enough, I can push through there. So he was still in here. So what he would do, he grew, by the way, cause that's what mice have a tendency to do. He would go collect these like crab apples off the trees at the bottom of the hill, climb up the mountain with them and bring them and leave them in front of my little refrigerator in my outdoor kitchen. And literally while all the girls were out there, we had a get together several months ago, they saw him come up and go climb up the side of the stucco in the outdoor kitchen and then go over the top of the refrigerator. So I thought, okay, well, we just can't have this. And he kept coming. And no matter what I did, he was still there. This is a battle that waged on for weeks. Finally, I figure out, okay, I can put this apparatus in here. He won't get behind the refrigerator. And I thought when I pulled the refrigerator out, I don't know what I'd see back there. There was nothing at all, but he just likes to come hang out and chill up here.
Yeah.
So eventually, after we've done all this construction, I say, and boy, I hate to do this because the kids apparently liked him, but I just can't have that. Because what if he bites somebody and they get sick, or it's a whole thing, especially when I got like kids that don't even really belong to me over here all the damn time. All right, here's what we're going to do. We're going to set some traps.
Oh,
and guess what?
Didn't work.
He ain't here no more.
Oh,
so we hadn't seen him in a long time. And I thought, well, I guess it worked. And I kind of hate that. Now I'm feeling a little guilty about it. And then I had a little get together about a week ago. And our bartender for some of these events, we hosted a little anniversary dinner here, by the way. That's what we did. And we had a little bartender here to make drinks for people, the whole deal. But it's my buddy who you've met before, Dre. And Dre's doing his thing, and he comes up and very discreetly says, hey, I noticed a smell downstairs. I'm like, what? He's like, yeah. I'm like, inside? He's like, no. Cause I have the little bar downstairs, and I'm like, inside? Cause I'm thinking he's at that bar. He's like, no, the outdoor kitchen bar. I'm like, okay. He's like, I think there's a rodent. I'm like, oh fuck. So yeah, he decided after he took the bait or the trap or whatever the deal was, that he was going to, climb in or around the built-in little gas grill that I never use, cause I prefer charcoal. And I've got one of those covers over it. Well, he was in there decomposing.
Oh, the final fuck you is what it was.
It was. So anyway, I killed a rat.
No, field mouse.
Well, for the purposes of our shirt that we're going to have over at lowestrules.com. Remember that time Conrad killed a rat?
That's a sad story, because if you stop and think about this, he obviously was just a fan. He wanted to get close to you.
Well, there's no autographs.
Well, still, I mean, he was running back to his little mousy friends and saying that, the guy who runs CTE, the guy who has ad-free shows, the guy who does all these great podcasts is a friend of mine now, and I hang out with him.
But I didn't want to hang out with him.
I hope you feel bad about this, poor little mouse. That's a sad story.
Dude,
Is that what you do? Is that what you do to your fans? You trap them, let them decompose in your grill.
Well, when was the last time you heard from Silva?
That'd be a big grill, buddy.
Big grill.
Haven't heard from Silva in a long time.
Yeah. Silva's, he's been working overtime with adfreeshows.com.
Silva and working in the same sentence. Are you out of your mind?
We did a TV shoot last Saturday with Dr. Tom breaking down the mechanics of a wrestling match, what works, what doesn't work, why it works, all that. Then we did a shoot with, a special project out of town that required 2 days of travel that we're not going to talk about just yet. Also coming to Ad Free Shows. And then we filmed, over with, Dave Milliken for our championship belt series, which we're really excited about. We've got new 4K equipment. So you're going to see these ring used belts and hear the story of how they were made and designed. So the actual design process, the actual construction of the belt, what they're made of, who commissioned it, roughly what it would have cost to create at the time, who all carried it, the notable matches, stories, angles, some of the famous covers and promo shots and magazine shots that you could have seen with it. And then of course, where the belts are now. And most importantly, what they look like now that they've got a lot of age on them, because I've always liked the story that a ring used belt tells. I know a lot of collectors want a brand new, pristine, perfect looking belt. And I get that, but I like the idea that some of my belts have side plates hanging off and the leather is broken in and dingy and the plates aren't shiny anymore. A lot of them are dull and chipped and cracked. And that tells the story of all the matches and all the miles. And it almost gives it like a patina. You know, if you were a coin collector or a gun collector, you were into antiques like that, you wouldn't want it to look pristine. The patina tells the story. It's like this living, breathing artifact. You know, that leather was stained with guys' oils and sweat and, well, probably other stuff we don't want to talk about, but it's cool that these things are still around and have a story to tell. So since the belts can't talk, myself and Dave Milliken and another member of our squad here, Stan Morris, we're going to tell the story of those belts. So yes, Silva, believe it or not, has actually been busy.
You have a lot of belts in your house, I know, that tell stories. And here's a fact. There was a poor little field mouse who wanted to get next to those belts and you killed it.
Yep.
I don't know how you can sleep at night, to be honest with you. I'd never kill a little field mouse. I welcome him into my house. Now, Chewy would probably eat him alive, but I went there. Let's take a look at the finish once again. Here he goes. The Cuban assassin up on top. He tried a crossbody splash, but Tommy Rich is too smart for that. He rolled out of the way and somebody say something about Thez Press. Oh, there you go. Didn't look good, but it got me the win, and I'm still undefeated on TBS right now. Somebody say something about Yunky.
Oh my God. Look at Michael Hayes. You're going to be Gordon Soley right now. And we're going to ask, what do you think he's saying?
Okay. Well, let me tell you something, Gordon Soley. Precious is not here, but in place of Precious to my left is the biggest gimmick, the biggest carny in wrestling. As a matter of fact, you may notice I'm not going to even look at it. He has a star on his gimmick. That's right. And that's right. I got a star right here where most women look at anyway when I'm on TV. So that's where I put that big blue star. And let me also say this. These sunglasses are the shittiest sunglasses you can find. Not only are they white, they're on the head of a carny. And also they covered up the road map that is the Rand McNally of my head. Take a look at my chest hairs. You think you can wax them? You can't, baby, because I am a Freebird. Hey, what's your name again? Oh, Gordon Soley. It was. Right now, it's just dipshit holding the mic for a bunch of carnies, and especially the dipshit with a star on his dick to my left. Let's go back to Jim Ross. Michael Hayes. Lordy.
How about Michael Hayes? That chest hair was glorious. Let's not act like he doesn't have great taco meat. I can't believe this is real. Jim fucking Cornette is coming to the ring right now with Shane Douglas and Johnny Ace. and they have skateboards on. They've got skateboards, neon colored windbreakers, backwards, bright yellow caps, or maybe they're green. I'm colorblind. Don't make fun of my disability. The Dynamic Dudes, managed by Jim Cornette. What is this? I just don't understand how they're out here celebrating with the kids and putting the hat on and doing the hang 10. But Jim Cornette's their manager? What the shit?
That I don't get either. Jim Cornette probably walked out of duress. He probably signed some sort of waiver, says it can't happen much more. Jesus. But I do like the colors. You know, I'm into colors, as you probably know.
Colors.
I'm into colors. As a matter of fact, everybody backstage in AEW knows that Tony wears a lot of different colors. My good buddies, Butcher and the Blade, always kind of waiting to see what kind of colors I'm wearing.
Well, because here's the thing. Let's tell the truth. When you got that sweet, sweet Tony Khan money, you upgraded your entire wardrobe, and I'll use the word upgrade very loosely, but you are decked out head to toe in Tommy Bahama every day now.
That's true. And I found out that Tommy Bahama, two things. I found out the clothes were comfortable.
Yep.
And I certainly hope they'll buy some spots on our Westwood One version. Very comfortable. And you can also find very good deals at the Tommy Bahama outlet down in St. Augustine, Florida, which I seem to show up to every 2 weeks.
How would you describe this Freebird dancing?
Yeah. A bunch of fucking idiots. I'm sorry. One good pilot and one fucking idiot. Sorry.
Can you believe they're the tag champs?
Oh yeah. I can believe anything in WCW in this era.
By the way, of this match, Meltzer would write, the Freebirds retained the NWA tag team titles, beating the Dynamic Dudes in 11:28. Finish saw the Dudes go for their double slingshot back suplex on Garvin, but Hayes tripped Johnny Ace's leg on the move, and Garden fell on top of Shane Douglas for the pin, which I like as a finish. The fans cheered the Freebirds vehemently and booed everything the Dudes did. The better the Dudes looked, the more they booed. The impression was it was more that the fans hated the Dudes, and more to the point, hated the idea that Jim Cornette was with the Dudes more than they liked the Freebirds. Jim Garvin was loving it because all he had to do was look at the crowd and they'd go crazy. Douglas was actually working with his right arm broken in 2 places and hadn't worked in 2 weeks. Considering he had to do some moves left-handed, which created timing problems, it explains the missed moves. The match had a lot of noise because the crowd got totally into booing the Dudes and cheering the Birds. But there was no actual heat for the match. The Dudes never had a chance, even though Douglas's condition and the fact that he still had to carry the team since Ace is green, they did well. 2.5 stars. So high praise for Douglas working with a broken arm. I don't know if that's advisable, but he did his best. And he had a great look. And I think a lot of people looked at Shane Douglas in this era and thought, this guy's going to be a big star in our business. And we know he had great success in ECW, but I don't know that it ever happened for him the way it could have anywhere else. I wonder how much of that was just timing, you know?
Yeah. I think we talked about this before when we watched an old ECW. Why didn't Shane Douglas become a bigger star in a bigger promotion? And we don't have an answer for that. The fact that his arm is broken, right?
2 places.
Yeah. Now, how would Dave Meltzer know that it's broken in 2 places?
Because Corny probably told him.
Somebody told him. So the fact that, I mean, you can say he has a broken arm. I report that he has a broken arm. But when I say he has a broken arm in 2 places, I'm telling the world I've got a stooge backstage.
Speaking of stooges, Tommy Young is right in the middle of this. And by the way, I think Philly was just booing. First of all, Philadelphia, great wrestling town. Can we agree?
Oh my God.
And
great sports town.
You come back for Halloween Havoc, the second version next year, the 1990 edition. And it's from Chicago, another great wrestling town. So I'm for it, but I also know that Philadelphia loves the bad guys. They love a team like the Midnight Express. They love Jim Cornette.
Right.
And they probably appreciate Michael Hayes and what all he did with the Freebirds before this Jimmy Jam version. Not that this is a bad version, but you know what I mean. It is a different Freebirds than when they had Buddy Roberts and Terry Gordy around.
Those were the Freebirds.
Yes.
They always will be the Freebirds.
Yes.
Right.
but they're just booing the white meat babyface.
Right.
They don't want to see this, you know, squeaky clean white meat, all American boy babyface. They don't want that.
Right. But that's what they're getting. Not only with squeaky clean, they're getting bleach blonde, and they're getting mullets, and they're getting colors, which, by the way, I like. They're getting all that. See, there's got to be more to life than just black and gray and white. You know what I wore the other day?
What'd you wear the other day? Hopefully clothes.
Yeah, well, thank you. The shirt was Pomodoro, and the shorts were Ocean Spray. Just great stuff, man. Got to be colorful. Paint the house, Lois says. I like neutral tones. I like tans and beige and grays. And I said, fuck that. Give me greens and blues and reds.
You want your house look like a goddamn Christmas tree? You know, Bruce Pritchard's painting his house right now. Have we talked about that?
No, as a matter of fact, we don't talk that much about Bruce because he hates me, but go ahead.
Well, his house was brown doors, brown trim, brown roof, brown walls, brown everything brown.
Mm-hmm.
And so they decided they wanted to come back. You know, the thing is to do like grays, right?
Oh yeah.
So
grays are in.
They're coming back with grays and white trim. So the house is going to look totally different when it's done. Now, of course, Bruce is doing absolutely none of the manual labor because he has zero free time and even less manual labor skill.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's painting his house. So I think it's kind of fun that you're at least talking about painting your house as well.
Yeah. We've done some painting here. The Bat Cave is gray. And I believe you had some gray put in your house as well, right?
Yeah. My house was mostly, like Lois was saying, tan and neutral colors. But of course I didn't realize, that this house that I was so proud of and have lived in for many, many, many years and gets oohs and ahs whenever people come over. I didn't realize that it was all wrong until Megan got a ring and became Mrs. Thompson.
Yeah.
And now slowly but surely I've realized that everything in my house was wrong.
Yeah. The day you said, I do, you should have realized that.
Yeah. I mean, I should have immediately got a home equity line of credit and just told her to fucking go nuts.
Yeah. Right.
They don't tell you that. They don't tell you that.
No, they don't tell you that when you get married. They don't tell you that. You know, they say that when you have a child, your life changes drastically. And that's true.
When your wife gets your check card, it changes even more drastically.
Yeah. When you get married, it changes. It's more than drastically than having a kid. It really is.
I remember when I could pull up my online banking and I knew what every charge was.
Yeah, baby.
I do have to tell you though, I get really great gifts now. Like we just had an anniversary.
No.
And, she got me a great anniversary gift. Now, of course I knew about it 2 weeks ahead of time cause I paid for it with my own goddamn money. What kind of shit is that?
Well, I want to let you in on something. A little conversation went down the day at the house that, hey, you've got a birthday coming up. And I went, yeah. And so what are we going to get you for your birthday? I said, same thing you got me last year for my birthday. I'm going to get me some my birthday.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's been a year.
You're going to come collect?
It's been a year.
Wait, so 1 year ago, November 7th, 2019, you were already a big TV star again.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess since you were over and you were on TV again, she decided to let you, float the moat.
Well, if you'll recall, you arranged for her to come to my birthday party in Baltimore.
I do recall that.
And she had a lot of margaritas. And it just helped relax the moment later that night.
Wait a minute. So in a hotel in Baltimore.
Yep.
You took care of business.
And it's been a year.
Not one time since.
Nope. Not even close. Not even to the point to where we should probably stop and Nope.
When it happened, did you hear like angels singing and birds chirping?
No. The only thing I heard was, thank God that's over.
You said that to yourself, or
yeah,
you said that?
She may have said it out loud. I remember hearing it. Not sure it was my inner Tony talking or it was her talking. I'm not so sure. But anyway, so there you go. So,
was she ready for that?
No, she's never yet.
No, I'm just wondering, like, was she ready for that, or did you come out and go?
No. So anyway, so I told her what I wanted for my birthday, and she the response was, "Yeah, right." So I guess I'll settle for a card.
Well, I got a surprise for you. Did you hear what I lined up for your birthday already?
Please listen. My birthday, by the way, is going to be one of the busiest days of the year for me. So don't line up anything for me.
Are you acting like I'm not going to be there? It's full gear. Woo!
It's also Georgia, Florida that afternoon.
And where is it happening?
Right next door.
Can you imagine? Let's process this, boys and girls. I'm glad we're talking about it now. Saturday, November 7th, Georgia plays Florida at the Jacksonville Jaguars Stadium. And Tony Schiavone's working the game. And as soon as it's over, he's going to shower his dirty butthole off and put on a suit. And he's going to be there for AEW's Full Gear, also attached to the Jacksonville Jaguar Stadium. And it all happens, not just any old day, but on Tony Schiavone's birthday.
That's amazing, isn't it?
It is. All your worlds collide. Bam. Just like that. Oh, and did we tell you? I think I may have even forgotten to tell you who's going to be at said football game.
Oh, I know who's going to be there.
Woo.
That's great. That's fucking great.
Woo.
Is that all we can get out now? Woo.
Woo. Well, if you do more than that, you need Wendy's permission. It's like we run these commercials here on the show, and it's call 1-900-909-9900. It's 99 cents a minute. Kids, be sure to get your parents' permission. It's woo, unless you get Wendy's permission.
Which tells me he's probably going to end up being backstage at our place.
No, he will not.
Good.
Let me assure you that will not happen.
That is tremendous. That is tremendous.
I would imagine he would have a visitor during the football game with glasses.
Yeah, he probably would. Yeah.
But I don't think that he will go visit the person with glasses.
I don't know if he'll have a visitor or not. It's really, those pay-per-view days are really busy days. I mean, really.
Well, I think he'll at least go by and say, what's up?
Yeah.
You know what? It might happen the night before.
Yeah.
It'll probably happen the night before.
So anyway, it's going to be a big day, Saturday, November 7th.
Be sure to watch. I'm sure the football game is probably 2:30 kick.
Yeah. 3:30 Eastern, 2:30 your time. Yeah.
So there you go. It'll be the CBS game. You'll be able to watch the Bulldogs run roughshod over the Florida Gators. Oh, there you go. There's your finish. I actually like the finish. That'll happen at 2:30 Central, 3:30 Eastern. And then as soon as it's done, tune in and watch AEW's pay-per-view. It's going to be quite an atmosphere in Jacksonville that day. It's two of Tony and Jim Ross's favorite things colliding: college football and AEW.
Yeah. Okay. It's one of my favorite things. AEW.
By the way, I don't know if you noticed, but Garvin wore his belt to the ring and carried his belt out. Hayes was never seen with his. I don't think Hayes had the belt here. I think he left it at home.
That would not be surprising.
There's one way to make sure you don't drop the belts. Forget to bring it. I like the finish. Next up, it's a good match, Bo. Doom. It's Braun Simmons and Butch Reed under mask. They're managed by a woman, and they're going to take on Rick and Scott Steiner.
But wait a minute. I'm coming to you back from the Stooge location. My name is Christopher Cruz. You may not know me, and if you do, you probably wouldn't like me. The fact is, somebody is talking in my ear, and I'm standing here with Rick Steiner and Scott Steiner, two guys who certainly in the Woodstock.
Let's track it, Tony. Hang on, listen.
We need no strategy. Tonight is a total reckless abandon. That's when you're playing our game. Because when there's no rules, no anything, you're in our ball game, you're playing our game. That's the way we like it. Yeah, we got Do. That's a good name for those guys, Do, because when we get done with them, it's going to be finished. We like a good fight. Who cares what happens? Who cares what happens in the match? As long as we get in, you get to fight, you get to beat up somebody, just do what you got to do.
Rick Steiner, many voices thinking that woman will be able to distract you and cause your defeat.
No, she did it to me one time. If I get her a chance to get in there, I'm going to take her and get it to
All
her.
right, fans, back now to the ring live in Philadelphia.
What a fucking promo. One of the worst promos I've ever heard. And Rick Steiner saying, if I get a chance, I'm going to get behind her and give it to her.
I know.
What the fuck?
He called Doom Do. He didn't say Doom, he went Do. Rob Rick Steiner, one of the great characters. And in that list of people you really don't want to fuck with. But you know what? The fans loved them. I mean, they were baby faces that I don't think the fans would boo. You know why? Because the fans thought they were legit. Well, they were legit, right? They came across as legit badasses. Am I saying anything wrong here?
Nope.
Would you agree with that?
Yep.
When you're a legit badass, you can be baby people get behind her and do it to her or whatever he said he was going to do. Oh God. Do.
I love this Doom presentation. And by the way, I know that, things have changed, but in 1990, the guys who were booking this probably thought 2 black dudes and a white woman, that's heat.
Oh yeah.
Because they even did it again when they had Harlem Heat managed by Sherry. I never really got that. And then someone explained that to me, and boy, I'm a fucking redneck hillbilly from Alabama, and it didn't click to me at all. Like, what do you mean? But then later, when it was explained to me, I'm like, oh, okay. This is the way old people think. But it wasn't heat to me at all. It was, I love her presentation, and I love their presentation with the masks and the robes and the whole deal. I mean, she looks like a Cruella DeVille type, I don't know, just fancy evil woman. And, throughout history, we've seen figures like that, and it just never, the race component never, never clicked.
No, but you're exactly right about that thought process back then. I agree. Sure do miss Nancy. She was a good lady.
By the way, she has a pro wrestling tee store now. I think it's pretty cool that she's got a shirt. So go check that out over at Pro Wrestling Tees. Man, I got to tell you, I love this version of WCW. Mostly one of the great things about this era, for me as a kid, especially, were the Steiner Brothers. And man, if you're going to cheer guys, you got to have somebody to boo. You got to have opponents for them. What a nice little spot that was.
Yeah.
And Doom were about as good as it got. And the following year, the Steiners are going to steal the show with the Nasty Boys, but damn, I love this. The Steiners were so believable.
And once again, they're just like I was talking about earlier, Dr. Death, and how they didn't always protect you. They weren't as easy in the ring as, and I'm not saying in a bad way, but they weren't as easy in the ring as, let's say, a Bobby Eaton was, because they were shooters. And I think you may have said this already. I'm not sure, but I know you've said it before. Hey, we all remember Big Papa Pump. but this is still my favorite version of Scott Steiner. The long mullet, the singlet with his brother. Just
he's the best, man, in this era. And I've even talked about it here on the show. My dad would take me to TV tapings in Montgomery. The WWF, I didn't think ever did TV in Montgomery. If they did, I missed it, but I lived in Prattville, a suburb of Montgomery. They ran TV. The WWF ran TV in Huntsville all the time, but I wasn't here then, so I didn't get to see it. But we would go to these TV tapings, and I was there to see, in no particular order, Steiner Brothers, Sting, and Lex Luger. And I was impressed with Sid Vicious, and I knew I hated the Four Horsemen. So I hated Arn and I hated Rick, but it was all about those guys and maybe Brian Pillman. I mean, I was your typical little kid fan.
Yeah.
But the presentation of the colors and the moves and the power and the barking and the wearing backwards belts and them being brothers, it was just fun. So like, you know, when you're a little kid and you wrestle with your friends and y'all pretend that you're wrestlers and somebody's jumping off a couch like an asshole or whatever. Me and my friends, we were always the Steiner Brothers. So it was so cool to later get to meet those guys and work with them and, you know, tell them how important they were to me as a kid because they were my favorite. And I still had, for a long time, I had a big Steiner Brothers poster in my room. I didn't have a bunch of posters of a bunch of wrestlers. I had Hulk Hogan and the fucking Steiner Brothers.
There you go. I get that.
You know, and I know we're talking about him a lot today because it's sort of his era. But again, there's a lot of bad stuff that we can make fun of WCW in this era. But Jim Herd made the Steiners a big deal. Now I'm not saying the Steiners wouldn't have been a big deal on their own. They certainly would have gotten there. I don't think you can hold down big time talent forever, but these guys were not the monster main event act, super over act pre Jim Herd. I know that Dusty famously pitched, I want Rick Steiner to beat Ric Flair for the world title at Starrcade 88 in like 5 minutes. But that's because he's in a pissing contest with Rick and then goes out and gets color against everybody's wishes and gets shown the door, the very next month. But still,
wow.
Rick Steiner had been the TV champ and he had been, you know, pushed as sort of a mid-card style guy. But once upon a time, him and Scott were both just singles guys and doing okay. But you put them together and you give them a push and you put the tag titles on them. The next year, or for the next 2 years, they're going to be working main events with guys like Sting and Lex Luger. And I just think they did a phenomenal job. And I think Herd deserves some acknowledgement that he put that shit together.
Yeah. You know, you're right about that. Or he allowed that to be put together.
It happened on his watch. I'm not saying it's his idea.
Yeah.
I'm just saying somebody had to say, okay, we're going with it. But you know, in this era too, it's worth mentioning cause I'm talking about me being a kid. We got those Galoob WCW action figures. The WWF figures had been around forever. Who greenlit them for WCW? Jim Herd. So like those WCW toys that we all collected and played with and the first ones of their kind, all of that marketing and merchandising and all that existed for the WWF years before. Crockett never made it happen. Happened on Herd's watch.
Yeah. Unfortunately, Crockett never made it happen because they
were old school wrestling promoters and there's nothing wrong with that. We loved them for it.
Right. They didn't have the vision, I guess is what I'm trying to say. I don't know.
Well, I think they were used to, we're going to sell tickets. You know, they were live event promoters. So if you're a live event promoter, you're going to sell tickets and maybe you'll sell pictures, maybe you'll sell t-shirts, but Vince McMahon sort of leveled it up. And as a result, WCW brought in corporate teams who could do similar stuff.
It's hard. Well,
I'm just saying, I like the look of the ring. I like that you're trying ring entrance sets. You know, Halloween Havoc again, everybody loved. And oh, it's the WCW. I mean, even Bischoff contends that in his mind's eye, Starrcade was secondary to Halloween Havoc. Now you're old school. You remember the granddaddy of them all, the precursor to WrestleMania. So you would say Starrcade, but he says, not on my watch. Halloween Havoc was our big event. Well, guess where that was created? 1989, Jim Herd's watch.
Mm. Well, you make great points there. I agree that during Eric's watch, Halloween Havoc was our biggest event. And I think a lot of that not only was because of Halloween Havoc was created, but I think a lot of that is because of what we made Starrcade. Starrcade was a Thanksgiving Day tradition. That's what it was. And and we moved it off Thanksgiving. We moved it out of Greensboro. We moved it out of Atlanta, and we moved it all over the place. And then we made it a battle bowl. And then all of a sudden it was the drizzling shits compared to Halloween Havoc. But I get it. Halloween Havoc first started who came up with the term Halloween Havoc? Is that well documented?
I mean, I just always assumed it was probably part of the Turner Home Entertainment deal.
Right.
I might be wrong.
That's what it was. That had to be it. Yeah. That absolutely had to be it. You're right. We're talking a lot about the Steiners. Need to talk some about Doom because, we all know what Butch Reed meant to wrestling and the world.
Oh yeah. We don't talk about that enough, but I'm sure you've seen that Netflix has just, their valuation has been through the roof, especially during the pandemic era.
Right.
He started with the hits Tiger King, and I guess they had that in production for a long time and just had it in the can ready to go. They were waiting on the right. Any great wrestler knows that timing is everything, is my point.
Right.
And he had Tiger King in his back pocket. And when this pandemic hit, he's like, you know what? This is crazy. The world is ready for something equally crazy. So let's let him go ahead and sprinkle that Tiger King on that ass. So
there you go.
Here we go with Tiger King. And now the hits keep coming. Wrong Missy this year was incredible. I'm sure you've seen Halloween Hubie. That seems like that's right up your alley.
I have not.
How have you not seen that? The new Adam Sandler movie on Netflix?
Nope.
Oh, well, I recommend it. Hubie Halloween, Hubi Halloween. You should watch it with the grandkids.
Hubie Halloween.
Yep. You know the Waterboy character?
Yeah.
Imagine if the Waterboy character had a Halloween movie.
Oh, okay. So that's probably pretty entertaining.
You need to be drunk or high with kids, but if you're either or all of those, well, first that would make you a bad parent, but secondly, it would probably be funny. There's one scene and there's a cameo from my favorite basketball player of all time, that fucking steals the show.
Okay. Well, you got me. I'm watching it.
Oh, I got Megan, started on The Boys season 2. We watched The Boys when it came out, but for whatever reason, we haven't pressed play on The Boys season 2 until this week. And she's into it. What'd you think?
Well, I love season 1 and I started season 2 and then I lost interest in it. So
I'm powering through. I feel like I just need to finish it, but I do agree. I think season 1 was next level. And by comparison, it's not as good.
Well, that's normally the case, isn't it?
The sequel's not as
always
good.
Yeah. Usually the second season is not as good. He threw him over the top rope. What the fuck? It should have been a disqualification. The referee's back was turned. Well, the referee can't see everything.
By the way, Meltzer wrote of this. Doom beat Rick and Scott Steiner in 1526 when Reed got a foreign object from Woman and put it in his mask and headbutted Rick and got the pin. I actually like that. He does say, a fight broke out in the crowd during the match and nobody watched the match, and they made that made the match lack heat in the middle. They got heat on Scott for a while until he made his comeback after kicking out of a stiff pile driver or a stuffed pile driver. The place popped big when Scott did the, Mata head scissors move. Somebody should come up with a better name than that. and Rick tagged in and did a power slam and belly to belly on Reed before a woman gave him the object, which led to the pin. 2.5 stars. So you're going to see a Frankensteiner that's so early, nobody's even named it yet.
What was it called? The Muta head scissors?
Yep.
I should probably use that in AEW and make me sound nostalgic.
Dude, if you did that, can you imagine? I'm just telling you right now, your co-host, Psychosis, he would go nuts.
It's the Muta head scissors. Wow. I like it. Gotta write that down so I can remember it. Yeah, Doom was badass, man.
Big time.
Yeah, they were. I remember I want to tell you a story of me as a fan.
Oh, please do.
Okay. And I think about this when I see Doom and I see Harlem Heat. I remember back when I was a fan thinking they ought to have two big, tough, mean fucking black guys as a tag team. And then I'm thinking about in the 70s, right? Because I mean, and I'm watching Jim Crockett Promotions back in the 70s, and there was Rufus R. Freight Train Jones, and there was Bobo Brazil back in that time. There was Tiger Conway Jr., the African-American wrestlers I remember, but never ones that had these gigantic, strong bodies like we see on a Ron Simmons or a Butch Reed. And I always thought, man, there should be that. And by golly, I was right. There should have been, and there was. So there you go. I had it in my mind back in the 70s. Had it in my mind. And I was right. Along came Doom. Along came Harlem Heat.
How do you not love Ron Simmons and Butch Reed? By the way, I do think we ought to find Butch Reed and do something with him.
I think we should. Yeah.
I mean, everybody's heard from Rick Steiner. Everybody's heard from Scott Steiner. Everybody's heard from Ron Simmons. Butch Reed, with all of his billions, he's just become a recluse. And I get it. It's a full-time job running Netflix and counting all your loot, but you got to think he'd like to talk wrestling.
You would hope. You just don't know how people, that are out of the business are about the business. I mean, for instance, you think Chris Cruz want to talk about the business right now? No. Unless he want to stooge off on somebody. Look at that. See those clotheslines, man? Those Steiner lines, if you will. Not a head scissors. Fans pop for that fucker, man. Because it was innovative back then. Well, Rick protected him a little bit right there. Very good. Didn't protect him on the Steiner. Uh-oh. What's he doing now?
He's ready to give it to her. Yeah.
Yeah. Was he? All right, here comes the gimmick. I hope they get it on TV. Oh, they did. Great job. Great job. And the big headbutt. Rick goes down. Here's a cover. Give me the 1, 2, and 3.
Track it.
Masked man something. It was easy to see it was in his mask. Doom has upset the Steiners here.
Probably wasn't upset. I mean, the Steiners are over like Rover. Next up, we've got 2 other over talents, Lex Luger and Brian Pillman.
Yikes.
For the U.S. title. Why'd you say yikes?
Lex Luger.
Oh, not a big Lex fan?
Well, in hindsight, I like him. Good guy. He and I got along, but I'm here with Lex Luger, whose way you'll notice that Lex Luger is looking more into the monitor and flexing for himself than he is really looking to the camera. He should look into the camera and talk to the fans, but he's going to look at the monitor more than he's going to talk. Let me tell you something, Gordon Soley. Tony Schiavone really makes fun of the way I do my interviews. Makes fun of the way I hold my finger and thumb and make the line, as you see, I just did it right now. And sometimes I'll take the thumb and I'll point, I'm going to do the line again twice, 2 lines, 3 lines. When I underline something 3, 4 times, when I underline something 4 times, it means I'm going to really, really accentuate what I'm getting ready to talk about. What was I talking about? Oh, I was talking about the fact that how over I am, not being able to really be a good worker, but a great body. I make a L with my finger because that's what I feel that, would you get to the point? That's what I feel that my opponent is, and loser, L. So let me say this. Brian Pillman, L. Well, I have no idea what he said, but I know we started him in Florida, so it's our fault.
Where does your come from?
I have no... JR does it too. And if you listen to some of the Gordon stuff, as he's doing commentary and something happens, he would go, it's like it was his change of direction in what he was saying. Did you ever hear him do it?
Look at this entrance right here for Flying Brian. The cheerleaders.
I'm glad they took a closer shot of it.
Terrible music that they added in.
Yeah. But the cheerleaders really into it.
You would think by this point, if they're doing the cheerleader thing again, I know he's going to get there, but I just assumed he would have had the Bengal shit on, you know?
Yeah. Right. If
we got cheerleaders, we would have put them in Bengals colors, especially since it's Halloween Havoc.
Yep.
And everybody knows that the Bengals colors are what?
Orange and black.
Well, hang on now. Wait a minute. Are you suggesting that Brian Pillman was wearing orange and black before Taz?
No, you are. I'm not. You're not good. You're not going to hang that one on me to get out in social media for him to call me on it.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, you heard Tony. He
no,
said
fuck you. Don't say no.
No. He said it in a loud.
Don't say that. No. Talk about something else.
At official Taz.
I know what you're trying to do.
At official Taz. Tony Schiavone has just stated clearly in a loud, clear voice that Taz ripped off Brian Pillman, that Taz is a fraud, that Taz is a faker, that Taz is a copycat, that Taz is guilty of the most worst, heinous act in wrestling, gimmick infringement. He has ripped off Brian Pillman. He ripped off his color scheme. He ripped off his moveset. Everybody remembers when Taz started doing those flying cross bodies and claiming them as his own. Brian Pillman. Brian Pillman is the original human suplex machine. We all know that. It's well documented. When you think about Brian Pillman, you think about shoot style cross faces. What the fuck is Lex doing right here?
Who fucking knows? By the way, also available at lowestrules.com, the shirt that says,
"You alive." By the way, they're pushing. He became the youngest starter in all of professional football in the Canadian Football League when he started at just 19 years old. Played 7 years there. How can anyone deny that this man is a leading contender to rule our sport in the 1990s?
Wow.
Boy, is Jim Ross carrying Herd's water here or what?
Wow. Well, I tell you,
he's the total package, Lex Luger. He's pushing him so hard on commentary. Bob Caudle trying to do his best to help as well, but it's been clear. And listen, we've talked about this before. There's been lots of rumor and innuendo that Herd didn't think Flair was the solution. And so he's going to try to make some guys along the way. He's going to make Sting. He's going to make Lex Luger, and these guys become bona fide main eventers, thanks in large part to Ric Flair. But it never works. When Luger's the champ, business goes down compared to when Flair was the champ. When Sting's the champ, business goes down compared to when Flair was champ. But at the same time, and maybe it's creative accounting, I want you to rule in here. Even when Flair was champ, they weren't profitable.
No.
So, okay, we're losing less money, but we're still not making money. So it was worth a shot to try someone else. So even if Flair is the best that you got, it's worth a shot to try to make someone else and see if you can turn a profit. But it didn't happen for WCW. Now, what I want to ask you is, how much of that is because of just the nature of the way Turner did their accounting? Because it's my understanding that a lot of the pay-per-view revenue and all of the home video revenue went to the Turner Home Entertainment bucket, but the costs associated with the project went on WCW's books. So WCW has to pay for it. And they get the overhead, but they don't get any of the profit.
Yeah.
So, and also too, from a television standpoint, these days we know, sure, AEW sells merch. Sure, AEW sells a handful of tickets in the pandemic era, cause you can't sell more than that. And sure, AEW sells pay-per-view quarterly, but the bulk of their revenue comes from not action figure sales, but television rights. Same is said of the WWE. Their stock and their financial situation would look totally different without the huge television rights fees. But of course, Turner is a TV company, so they don't pay, quote unquote, WCW or allocate any cash to say, okay, this is what we would be paying for that programming. So here it is. So WCW became a wrestling company that had to live without pay-per-view revenue and without television rights fees. So it makes you wonder when people are saying, oh, WCW never turned a profit. Did they really not? Or was it, we're just siphoning off the profit and allocating it to different departments to make those departments look better and make our little redheaded stepchild pro wrestling look a little less than?
That's exactly what happened. That's hitting the fucking nail on the head. And I don't know if you've heard this story. I don't know if it's true, but I had heard, and I don't even know if I heard it officially or not. We're talking about the 90s right now. I heard that Turner got its money to be able to put to the franchise rights fee for the Atlanta Thrashers for the NHL, thanks to the money that WCW was making for them back then. WCW's money paid for the Atlanta Thrashers, who now, now back in Winnipeg and the Winnipeg Jets, and it was WCW. They're again, it goes back to this blanket fucking statement that I've always said. Turner should have never run wrestling. Turner didn't give a shit about wrestling. And the reason WCW failed was because of the Turner corporate structure back then. That's why. And that's my opinion, and maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think I am. Good talk, man.
I'm just listening, buddy. You were there.
I'm saying it's a good subject to bring up. I guess what I meant to say.
Well, sometimes you get on my shit for just being quiet and letting you fucking talk.
Well, sometimes you get on my shit just to get on my shit.
Well, I was just trying to have a real discussion about wrestling.
No, we're having a real discussion.
My point is, and I'm going to argue this forever, trying to make Lex Luger was not a bad thing to try. Trying to make Sting was not a bad thing to try. And just because they didn't draw as well as Flair doesn't mean it was bad to take a shot at it, because you weren't, whether the accounting was right or not is another thing, but you weren't turning a profit. So the goal is never to lose as little as possible. The goal is to make as much as possible. And they weren't able to do that with Flair. So they tried new things. And this is the era, by the way, where Flair's a heel, and they're trying to make Flair a baby face here in '89 because that's what they thought was necessary. If Flair's our biggest star and Hogan was their biggest star, well, let's try to make him a baby face. And Flair historically had been the bad guy. So, with the whole Terry Funk thing, as you remember, '89, most people think is Flair's best year ever. He would say, no, I was at my best in '84, '85, or maybe '86, but I think he would probably hang his hat on '85. But when fans go back and they think about 1989 and Ric Flair, they think about not one, not two, but the incredible, perhaps the best trilogy in wrestling ever with Flair and Steamboat. That was in the first half of the year, but it's done by May. And they immediately transitioned to Funk and drag it through the end of the year. Of course, we know a couple months after this, we'll get New York Knockout from Troy, New York at the Fieldhouse. And they have an I Quit match that's just one for the ages. So Flair had a real banner year in 89, but literally at the halfway point, we switched gears. He's going to go from heel to babyface. And the only guy who could make that switch for him, Terry Funk, with a pile driver through a table with a fucking plastic bag over the head. And then of course, you know, we're going to try to rub him up against our big baby face, who we think is the future, who we think is our next Ultimate Warrior, if you will, because by this point, fans are starting to realize Warrior's the next guy behind Hogan. Maybe it'll be Hogan, Zeus at WrestleMania. And we know, nope, they're going babyface, and they're passing the torch in just a handful of months here to the Ultimate Warrior. Well, the WCW answer to that is Sting. So let's put that guy up against our newly baby-faced Ric Flair. And let's see what a baby-faced Flair versus a baby-faced Hogan on the other channel can do. And unfortunately, it's not better than, it's still less than.
Yeah. Do you think the answer to the Ultimate Warrior being Sting was seen as copycat?
I think they were trying to make Sting first. I've always thought that the original title switch at Wrestle War was supposed to happen, and it would have been, instead of Luger in there, it would have been Sting, and they would have done the title switch, but then he tears his knee, so they push it back. So by the time it happens in July, they're a couple months behind Hogan dropping it to Warrior. So at that point, it did feel like it was in response too, because we're both going from tan, bleach blonde, world champions, face of our companies. And now we're going to younger, neon colors, face paint. I mean, but at the same time, you saw the way the dynamic dudes were dressed. That's what was popular at the time. Slap bracelets and trapper keepers and fucking neon colors. Remember those t-shirts you would wear that would change color as you sweat, like hyper color or some bullshit? Like everybody was into that crazy shit, you know? So, and everybody wanted to be a surfer or a skater. Little fat kids from Prattville, Alabama, never knew shit about surfing, but you think I didn't have a surf shirt? Fuck off. You know, I did.
I'd love to see you in a surf shirt.
Oh, I got them. I'll get some of my Chubby McGee's out for you. No problem.
No, I'm not talking about Chubby McGee's. I'm not talking about your shirts. I'm talking about photos of you in your shirts.
That's what I'm talking about. I got pictures of that shit. And I'll have Mom dig them up and we'll post some over on ad-free shows. So you can make fun of me, but you're going to have to pay $1 to do it.
That's what we should do. I should post some of my old pictures too.
Oh, absolutely. You know, one of the cooler things of your birthday party, was seeing old home video footage, you know, and I feel bad that every time your wife goes to dust off some dog hair, she finds another reel and calls up Paulie Bromwell. Can you convert this to DVD? We'd love to have footage of us walking around Disney World, just arguing about what rides we were going to and what to have for lunch. If we could watch that in glorious HD in the Batcave, that would be fun.
Well, I'm talking more about, and I don't know where it is. There's a home movie stuff of me falling off my bicycle when I was like 10, 11 or whatever.
Well, it's black and white. We know that.
No, it's color. And, there's also, 1 year for Christmas, I got a Batman Batarang and a Batman, utility belt, and has me run around the house with the utility belt on.
I need to get you a real utility belt like that and run around your hotel room in Jacksonville on your birthday. And if Lois isn't coming to town, maybe we can tag in one of my presents that I got you that you're not even acknowledging here on the show.
Am I missing something?
We're doing an ad-free shows happy hour every Sunday where we're encouraging you to bring a cocktail and hop on a Zoom chat, a video chat with a cocktail in hand. And we'll have a professional comedian there to keep the conversation going. But the real reason you're showing up is 1 week it's Medusa, and the next week it's Rebel, and the next week it's Medusa, The week after that, it's Rebel. Tony Schiavone have made your dreams come true. You get to get drunk with Medusa and Rebel every Sunday at adfreeshows.com. And you're acting like I didn't do that for you and you alone, Noah. How dare you?
Well, I apologize. I didn't realize you were doing that for me and me alone.
I'm the dream weaver, Tony Schiavone.
Yes, you are. You just, your fucking mind works 24/7, doesn't it?
You don't like that?
No, I like it. I like it. I think it's wonderful. I also think it's wonderful how you bunch of slapdicks just are in love with Rebel.
Have you seen Rebel?
I see her every Wednesday.
Lot to love, my friend. Lot to love.
She's great.
Hey, by the way, have I explained, Mance-splaining to you?
No.
Well, I need a favor. And I know you're going to act like you do me favors all the time, but let's be real. How often do I say, Tony, I need a favor?
Okay.
I need you to let Mance do your wife.
Yeah.
You go with it?
Good luck with that.
Well, here's what I got in mind. I want your wife to pick a drink of her choice, maybe some peach moonshine, sit in front of your computer, turn your Zoom on, fire up the WWE network, and Mance Warner is going to connect with her on a Zoom and a light beer in his hand. And he's going to try to watch an old, terrible piece of wrestling and explain it to her. Now, he may go into business for himself, much how you used to call John Cronus Daryl, but he's going to try to make sense out of something that really is nonsensical as hell. Maybe it's Triple H climbing in a coffin to have sex with a corpse named Katie Vick. Maybe it's the gobbledygooker. Maybe it's RoboCop. Maybe it's Chamber of Horrors 91, where we electrocute Abdul the Butcher. The point is, Mance-splaining is coming to adfreeshows.com. It's a comedy show where it's a watch along of a terrible piece of wrestling, and Mance Warner attempts to explain logic into an illogical situation with some comically bad pro wrestling. And we're only doing it with top guys and their wives. And I figure our tippy top guy, our captain of the ship, Noah Anthony Schiavone, at some point we should have Mance do his wife too.
Yeah, we really got to get Lois drunk for that.
I'm for it.
I mean, really drunk. You know, Lois does pull back a few now and then, but she very rarely gets really drunk. So,
well, here's the deal. It might work two ways, because you might get her drunk and then you get your birthday present early.
Nah, those days have gone. You know, we were talking earlier about November 7th of 2019.
Yep. I remember that day. I was there.
Yeah, but later that night where I was talking about that's never going to happen again.
You're never going to have a birthday party again?
No.
You're never going to go to Jimmy's again?
No.
You're not going to Baltimore again?
No.
You're not going to invite Mark Madden to an event where Tony Khan is again?
Yes.
Okay.
No.
What is it?
I'm never going to have sex with Lois again.
Is this like a promise to us, the listener, right now?
Not a promise. That is, I can just see that not happening in my future.
Wait, hang on.
Listen, you're good. Look here. You're going to be old one day.
I hope not.
And you're going to get it.
Not at this weight.
Okay. Well, if for some reason you get old one day, you'll understand. It's just, and you older people out there, you understand. It's just, maybe you don't, maybe I'm different. It's just not part of your world now. It's just,
all right. But here's the thing though. It's not part of her world. That don't mean, you'd still crack one open.
No, no, I have no. You know how much?
But you just said you wanted it for your birthday. I was in this same show.
Okay.
What do you have for your birthday? Same thing as last year. Yeah, right. I mean, that's word for word what you said happened.
Well, you know, I say that to her only to get her going.
Hey, who's the dude out here holding the camera? Not the camera, but the cord in the background.
I don't know.
You know the dude shooting it?
I'd have to see it again. It may be Tex or maybe Tim Smith. I don't know.
I'm just saying the guy who's the cable runner, he's watching the hell out of this match.
I know he is. He doesn't give it. You know what? Probably the cable runner is like, since it's Philadelphia, probably like a union guy.
Yeah. He's just a big fan.
Yeah. I mean, you know, when we went to union towns, we had to use unions. And look, Luger just calling spots there. We had to use unions. And I remember back in the WCW, you know, the heyday, because union guys were basically, I probably shouldn't say this, worthless, that we used to just to pay union guys off and not have them work the show. And you'd show up early today. There's all those union guys sitting in the stands. They're getting paid. We don't want to use them. We want to use our own guys, but we would have to pay that fee, or we would have to pay the union guys. So this is probably a union guy, I would think. What? Did Luger just take a bump on a missed kick? Luger just fucking took a bump on a missed kick.
Well,
he just fell backwards and Brian missed it. Oh my God.
Can you believe it? There's an hour left.
Yes, I can believe it. We're not going to do it here. There's your 1, 2, 3, but go back right before the finish. Everyone at about 1 hour and 51 minutes. When you get a chance, go back and see that Pillman misses the drop kick, which the missile or whatever from the top. And that's supposed to be part of the finish, but Luger took a bump. Instead of just moving out of the way, he took a bump. Jesus, criminy.
Next up, we've got the Road Warriors and the Skyscrapers, and I'm going to give you a recap of what happens in this match, according to Meltzer. But look at this finish. This hits solid.
Yeah.
Very nicely done. Luger looks like $1 million here, though.
Yeah, he does. He looked the part. He really did. He just, if Luger would have had you want to track this?
Yeah, sure. I know you don't want to make fun.
Right.
By live here in Philadelphia, just minutes away from the Road Warriors Skyscrapers match. Hawk, you are considered the best tag team in the history of professional wrestling, but can even the Road Warriors defeat the Skyscrapers?
Well, you know, we've been underdogs all our life, and there's some critics out there that think we're underdogs tonight. Well, the people out there aren't stupid. They know better. The Skyscraper. Hey, who builds buildings, Paul? People do. And who tears them down? People do. Well, we're a couple of people that are going to reduce them to rubble. Snack on danger, dine on death. Dead men don't make money. Count them at them. You know, a lot of people in our sport today judge themselves on how much they can take by the hands of the Road Warriors. Not by anybody else, but by the Legion of Doom. That's why we're the #1 team in professional wrestling as Skyscrapers. You ain't gonna change that.
All right, fans, let's go back to the ring now. Road Warriors and Skyscrapers live from Philadelphia.
Dude, this is going to be quite the visual. Sid Vicious, Dan Spivey, Doom on their way to the ring, and they're taking on the Road Warriors. Before we do that, though, I want to read very quickly exactly the way Meltzer broke this down. Luger got some boos, but they were drowned out by the much louder cheers. Pillman's cheers weren't as loud, but he got no boos at all. In contrast with the Rick Steamboat matches, the crowd was far more vehement in the Steamboat matches, while the Tommy Rich matches, nobody cared about at all and only reacted to what Luger did. My biggest complaint came during this match, or more precisely, just before the match started. When Luger came out, they played a tape chant of Luger, Luger that was taped a few days earlier in another city, and also put a huge sign out that said Luger, 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 facing the crowd in the back behind the TV cameras. in order to get the crowd to chant his name. The crowd didn't chant his name, although he still got a very big reaction and a predominantly positive reaction. What's the logic in this? First off, the guy is a heel no matter what they do, and they can't get the fans to boo. So then they try special effects and brainwashing to get the fans to cheer him and make the people at home think he's more of a face, when the object they're trying to get to is people to not like him. This match was put together to be a 4-star match, but with all the near falls and a hot finish, it didn't quite make it. The first 10 minutes weren't good. A few spots, some well-timed, some others not so well-timed, interspersed. The last 6 minutes after Pillman missed a splash off the top rope was all hot action. There wasn't much heat during the first 10 minutes and people didn't seem to care, but this was the only match on the card that really built up to its finishing minutes and the several exciting near falls at the end. The crowd popped big for the finish, 3.25 stars.
Wow. 3.25 stars. So that's not bad.
Real big for him.
Yeah, it is. It's amazing when you think about what they tried to make Luger and what they try to condition the fans. It's just real stupid, isn't it? It's fucking stupid. Look at this, man.
I love this, dude. Cause how about this? It could be real.
Yeah.
With those crazy fuckers, this could be real.
Yes, it could be. And probably with Mike Hagstrand, it was real. Interesting. Just tell me what this match is going to get before it happens.
What, star-wise?
Yeah, star-wise.
Let me look it up real fast. You know, the 89 ones are not posted online.
Oh, they're not.
So you got to go find them. But I got it.
Okay. Just give me the stars.
2.5.
2.5. Okay.
Meltzer did write about this though. Of course he did.
Yeah.
Crowd was very much into this match and it was better than it sounds on paper. They mainly got heat on Hawk during most of the match. I think seeing Vicious in the ring next to the Warriors and seeing just how much bigger he was than everyone else gets him over just that much more.
Yeah.
He's the most impressive monster specimen in the business, and he's every bit as poor in working a match as he is impressive just standing there. After Animal got the hot tag, it broke loose. Teddy hit Paul Ellering with the key, and Spivey got the key and hit Hawk for the DQ, and they doubled on Animal using the key until Hawk did a flying clothesline to break it up. And then Hawk got the key and hit both guys with it. Ironically, since this is the complaint made here about WWF crowds, when it was announced that the Warriors had won, there was no crowd pop, but about 30 seconds later, when the music hit, the crowd popped for the music. 2.5 stars.
What was the key? Was that something that Teddy brought out all the time?
The key to victory, Daddy.
Okay. That's what it was called. The key to victory.
Yeah. Something like that. I'm the key to victory.
It's amazing how, you know this, God, it's been one of the threads throughout our entire podcasting. It's amazing how things happen. And of course I wasn't there at that time, but still how things happen in wrestling that I should have remembered and I don't. Like for instance, all of 2000 and 2000 and the 3 months of 2001, I've completely blocked it out.
I did too. I don't remember much from WCW from 99. I would say summer of 99 forward. I mean, I'll watch it and I'll say, oh, I never saw this. And then I'll get into it and I'll say, oh yeah, I did. But it's not great. It's not memorable.
No, it's not. And I guess, we've called some of those, we've called some of the shows or watched along with some of the programs here on What Happened When, and I watch it and I'll go, I don't remember that guy.
Look at this, dude. Right before the lockup, just the stare. If they would have let that linger a little bit, you saw the flash bulbs going. Uh-huh. People perceived Hawk as big whiff there. People perceived Hawk as a big star, and Sid just looks like somebody. Does he not?
Oh my God. We've talked about this many times. No one looked like him. Can you imagine a guy the size of Sid Vicious with Ric Flair's brain? Not the brain now that Wendy controls. Yeah. I'm talking about the aptitude for the business.
It's unbelievable. Can you imagine for a minute take Hulk Hogan's rap, his speech, his charisma, drop it in Sid.
Yeah, absolutely.
For that matter, I don't know. It's just, he does feel, he's a guilty pleasure of mine. Him and the Nasty Boys. We've talked about that here on the show. I think they're just criminally underrated. And I know a lot of people say, oh, he was overrated, but I think people just automatically go, LOL Sid. But dude, he closed the WrestleMania with Hulk Hogan. He closed the WrestleMania for the title with Undertaker. He headlined Halloween Havoc the year after this against Sting. I know he didn't have his heart in it. I know he didn't care to learn the way everybody else did. I know he could be a disrespectful dickhead, and I know he stabbed our friend. That's a real sentence. But I'm just saying, as a fan sitting at home, I didn't know any of that.
Yeah.
I just knew, man, look at that. Look at that fucking key, man. Do you see that?
Key to victory, buddy. The key.
It's fucking dumb. By the way, though, you know, decades later, DJ Khaled became a fucking Snapchat superstar. Major Key. He would give little pro tips in life.
Okay.
He would say, Major Key, gotta eat breakfast. God is good. Bless up. Shit like that.
All right.
Well, so here's the thing. Since we're talking about keys to life.
All right.
We got a new Dear Noah that I was asked to read.
Oh my God. How did you transition to this bullshit? But go ahead.
Dear Noah, I'm getting a divorce. I'm keeping my boys.
Yeah.
I'm keeping my house.
Okay.
I'm keeping my car.
Yeah.
And yes, I'm even keeping my girlfriend. Do you have any helpful advice going forward?
Yeah, I do.
Sincerely, your friend, Bad Money Slim.
Bad Money.
I don't know if this is a working divorce or a shooting divorce.
Okay. I'm glad you're keeping your boys.
Yeah. Why not? They're nice to have around.
Yeah. But for the sake of those boys, wait until they are out of the house before you get a divorce.
Well, Tony, you would have taken that advice 20 years ago, would you not?
Yeah. I mean, listen, as a shoot, you go through rough patches in your marriage, and I get it. And I never went through, Lois and I went through some rough patches. They weren't overly rough, but they were rough enough to where, had it not been for the kids being younger, I probably would have said, fuck it, you know? But the kids were younger, and it was important for them to have a father and a mother. And I know you could say, well, the fact that we're going to have a divorce doesn't mean that she's no longer going to be their mother. I get that. But I mean, a father, mother, and a nuclear family at home, that's really important. The upbringing of the kids. So I say, tough it up, suck it up, stay married. Once the kids are out of the house, go about your own way. And that's this episode of Dear Noah. Meanwhile, look at Sid just hoist up Joe like that. That took some raw strength to get him up like that, buddy. Holy shit. Think about what we just seen. Oh, that's Mike, isn't it? Yeah, that's Hawk. Think about what we just seen, how he just muscled him up like that and threw him. How many people have thrown Hawk around like that? My God. Even though it's a work, it's pretty fucking good. So is that good advice?
Sure.
Your parents never got a divorce. They stayed married, right?
Yep.
See?
You can see it on my dad's face.
Yep. But you had a great family unit. So there you go. And you turned out to be a good guy. So there you go. It's important.
Oh, that's kind of debatable.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. But the fact is that once you start having kids, it ceases to be all about you and what you want, what you like, and what you'd rather be doing.
You didn't even know all this. How old are his kids? You don't know.
Well, he says, I'm keeping my 2 boys.
Yeah, but I mean, they could be 17 and 16.
No, I'm talking about out of that. I'm talking about moved out on their own.
No, I get that, but just saying, a 17-year-old boy around in third base.
Yeah, you still got to wait. Anyway, that's my opinion. And we talked about Hawk selling in this match, and that's that looked terrible.
Oh, I forgot to tell you, I got some heat the other day at the Casio comedy show.
Well,
Casio
getting heat.
Go ahead.
You getting heat is nothing new.
He made some sort of reference to me on stage.
Oh my God.
And, a lady in the front row said loud enough for him to hear, but I didn't hear it where I was seated. He's a fucking asshole.
Wait a minute. When he mentioned your name, that lady said you.
He's
Conrad.
a fucking asshole.
Okay.
And I got to tell you, I really, really wish I would have heard it because I would have sold it big. I'm guessing that lady had seen the inside of my house before.
Oh.
Just guessing.
Oh, I was thinking maybe she listened to one of your podcasts and.
Did you hear the part where I said it was a woman?
We have women listen to our podcast. We have a lot of women.
We got 2 Brandies and 1 Lauren. We ain't got shit else.
No, listen. No.
No, yeah.
No,
And Efren, if you count him, that's it.
No, not counting him. We've got Mary out of Michigan that listens to our podcast.
Oh yeah. I forgot about Mary. My point is, we know they're fucking.
We got Brooke
names.
out of Louisiana, who's a good friend of ours.
There's so few women, Tony. We know all their first names.
Yeah.
Our wives don't listen to this. Our friends' wives don't listen to this.
No.
Lori listened once, and that was enough for her.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, my daddy's on there doing nasty talking. I'm gonna turn this off.
So anyway, all right. So yeah. So this lady who said you're an asshole obviously knew you years ago in the biblical sense.
Oh, I don't know that to be sure. I'm just,
Okay.
Why else would she hate me is the point. You know what I mean?
Right. So did you didn't know that this happened, right? During the show?
No, she said it loud enough for Cassio to hear, but not me. And he asked me about it afterwards. And I was like, the blonde lady in the front row? And he's like, yeah. I was like, oh, okay. He's like, who was that? I said, I don't know. He just described what table she was seated at.
Okay.
He said, the girl on the far right. I was like, oh, okay. Well, that was a little bachelorette party. Imagine how bad COVID is, where if you're a bachelorette party, you go to Stand Up Live in Huntsville to see Casio Kid. That's how hard 2020's been. People are going to Casio Stand Up for their bachelorette party.
I'm with you, buddy.
It makes me wonder, did they take her to see Casio just so she would feel good about her decision? Like, hey, it could be worse. You could have married one of these fucking goofs.
That's probably hitting the nail on the head, if I can use that cliche.
There's the key.
The key.
Key right to Dan Spivey, right in front of the ref. Ding, ding, ding. That's it. Major key.
So here's the deal. Okay. You think about this. If you throw the key to one of your guys, you want them to hurt the Road Warriors.
Right.
Why not just go out and throw the key to them immediately? So hurt them right now to get it over with.
Next up, by the way, we've got, quite a match here. You're not going to believe what's going to happen as part of this. You probably remember 4 stars is the deal for a main event.
Is this where Sting blew out his knee?
No,
I think we've already seen that.
Yes.
That was in Corpus Christi.
Yes.
Okay. How about that memory coming through for an old guy?
It's all your Prevagen. By the way, I should mention that Meltzer would write, the National Wrestling Alliance string of excellent pay-per-views ended on Saturday night in Philadelphia. Halloween Havoc was far from the worst pay-per-view event in history, but from a live perspective, the card came off like just another ordinary night of NWA wrestling. There wasn't the aura of specialness to the card, while the promotion put together the most creative batch of television commercials ever for a major show. The backbone of the NWA, the great wrestling action on the big shows, just wasn't there. Usually in a situation where a major event doesn't live up to expectations, it is criticism time. But really, I don't have any criticism other than the NWA simply wasn't ready to do a pay-per-view card on October 28th. I don't think the fans were ready, and the buy rate will be the answer to that one. But the feuds and grudges and storylines weren't ready on October 28th to peak. So to make up for this, the promotion built a cage, or should I say, three strange men somewhere in a blacksmith shop high in the mountains put together one of the most bizarre cages ever, and a unique Thunderdome match was made as the selling point.
Interesting that when he says did not have the aura of a big show.
Let's track this. Let's track Ole here.
No way. You better get ready, Gary Hart. This towel is going to be like glue on my right arm. When I get out there, the only thing I'm going to be doing is watching Sting and Flair knock the crap out of Mr. Muta and Terry Funk. Get ready, because your towel is going to be dropped in that ring. I guarantee.
Ric Flair, are you willing to risk your future in professional wrestling?
I'm amazed. Throw the towel in. Here's how it goes. This is the Thunderdome. This is the big time. This is the National Wrestling Alliance. And Sting and Ric Flair stand for a cause tonight. And the cause is the end of Terry Funk and the Great Muta. Electrified, yes. 10,000 people, yes. Nationwide, yes. Tonight, Funk and Muta. Woo! Pay their dues, right, Steiner? It's Halloween, and guess what? It's gonna be full of havoc. It's gonna be different because we're talking something different than a regular wrestling match, and I love to be different. You know that. Halloween Havoc and electricity. It's just seconds away now, Nature Boy. Woo!
All right, fans, here we are. Thunderdome now live in Philadelphia.
Ladies and gentlemen.
By the way, I'm pretty sure Sting said that ring's going to be full of hammock instead of havoc. And I'm pretty sure we heard the director say 10, like a 10-second countdown, because you could see that Chris Cruz was trying to hurry.
Yeah.
By the way, this cage. All right. So we've put over the ramp. We've put over the entrance set. We've put over the Steiner Brothers. We should also mention Bruno's here, also on Herd's watch. Muta is in the main event, and Terry Funk made more money than he ever did in wrestling before this, all on Jim Herd's watch. So it sounds like we're checking a lot of cool boxes for Jim Herd, but now we've got a Thunderdome cage.
Yeah.
A Thunderdome cage. Now, of course, WWE Thunderdome is here now, but this cage in particular is,
sucks.
Yep. It's going to catch on fire, and Muta's going to put it out with his mist, or try to. That's where we are with the silly shit here.
Yeah.
And by the way, I do like the touch of having a guy as Muta and Jimmy Hart are walking to the ring. They've got a guy looking like a mobster watching their back, literally. Tremendous look. And I love Muta's look here. I love that he's the television champ. He's undefeated here. Never lost. No pinfall losses yet in the promotion. He started earlier in the year, I think, at the Superdome, in front of hundreds of fans that cost George Scott his job. Here comes Muta with that NWA television championship that we both love. Funk out next. And then an unbelievable combination of Ole Anderson, the babyface, Ric Flair, the babyface, and the ultimate babyface Sting. How weird was it to see Flair and Ole trying to be good guys?
It was weirder seeing Ole trying to be a good guy, because Ole has never been a good guy on either side of the camera. Look at Terry, man.
What great shape he's in here too.
Yeah, man.
I mean, that's probably the best condition he was ever in, looking like Stan Hansen's little brother here.
Look at him. He's going to hit everybody, man. Hit a fan, hit the referee. Get the fuck away from me. I love that. Or hit a security guy. Just, Mount Rushmore, right?
He's on mine, man. You know, when it comes down to all-time favorite guys to watch, I mean, this era of Terry Funk is just great, but then you look at how many times he reinvented himself.
Yeah.
You know, from when he was before the NWA champion. And then once he becomes the NWA champion, great baby face, incredible heel, the great stuff he did with Lawler, covered himself with motor oil, the empty arena match, this feud with Flair, the plastic bag over the head, the I Quit match. And by the way, he's not done. He's going to close out the first ever ECW pay-per-view as the world champion, helping make them on pay-per-view. And then he jumps over to the WWF and tears it up. Oh, and did we mention, that was his Chainsaw Charlie. How about those hardcore matches in Japan? He made Cactus Jack. It's unbelievable, all the stuff he did. And here comes the next big thing for WCW, or they sure hope, their version of the Ultimate Warrior. He's next to last out, the man called Sting. Before he had all the crazy jackets and all that, but he already looks like a star, but he did level up when he started wearing those big jackets to the ring, didn't he?
Yeah. And the fans, heel crowd, they pretty much are into him here too, aren't they?
Well, there's a lot to like, you know?
Yeah. And we have seen on one of our past podcasts, Sting's debut. So we're talking just 2 years removed, and he's getting all this reaction. Just shows you got the charisma and you got the look and you're pushed. It doesn't take long to get over, right?
Let's see what they're playing for Flair's music on the network here.
And from Charlotte, North Carolina, he weighs 245 pounds. And for the 6th time, he is the World Heavyweight Champion, Nature Boy.
Bobby notices.
Dude, is it just me, or do you miss air horns in wrestling?
Yeah, I liked air horns in all sporting events. It made it sound big.
It does.
Yeah. I agree, man. I'm with you. That music, I can remember at a time, you know, when, again, I worked for the Crockett's, and it was, you know, old school mentality. They used music that was unlicensed, and they got by with it.
Oh, that changed here. They got sent with a big bill, and you guys had to do your own music after that. But this, I guess, was public domain, that whole bit that Flair used.
I think, but I also think that they had somebody do a song that was like it, but different, and they couldn't make a claim to it. For some reason, that I remember that happening. And I don't know if that's true. I don't know if I'm incorrect. But I just remember that the song that Ric Flair came out to sounded like 2001: A Space Odyssey, but really was a little bit different, and different enough to where they didn't have to pay royalties for it. For some reason, I remember that. And I remember that happening, obviously, before I left. So I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. But anyway, it was quite an entrance. It's been his theme song. It's been something else, man. Who's the guy who walked out with him, walking behind him? Is it a wrestler?
It's Ole Anderson.
No, I'm talking about behind Gary Hart. You know, had his back to him.
Oh,
but
yeah.
They just got him out of the ring.
Yes, it was.
Okay.
Ric Flair and Sting beat Terry Funk and Great Muta in the Thunderdome cage match in 21:55. Bruno was the referee, and Ole Anderson and Gary Hart were the Terminators. The rules were that the only way the match could end is if one of the Terminators threw in the towel, signifying surrender for his team. The cage, without a door, was lowered onto the wrestlers and seconds. The cage looked awesome with tree branches, a Tarzan swinging rope inside, dragons facing outward, cobwebs, and a mailbox on the side. The cage was so visually impressive that it took your concentration away from the match. Given the parameters of the match, all 4 guys did as good a job as humanly possible. Check that. Flair, Muta, and Sting did as good a job as humanly possible. Funk was inhuman and completely stole the show and turned it into a spectacular match live. From the comments I've heard, this match didn't translate well on pay-per-view, but watching it live, I didn't think it would. It was about as good as it could have been. Before the match started, the Dragon started breathing smoke, and somehow the smoke caught some of the cloth on the side of the cage near the top, and a fire broke out. This wasn't planned, and poor Tommy Young had to climb up the cage and put the fire extinguisher out by hand. A guy with a fire extinguisher was running behind Young in case he didn't get the job done. After the fire was out, Muta blew the mist, but apparently on TV, it looked like it was just a spot for Muta to blow out the fire with his mist.
Wow.
So take a look here. You see the pyro going.
Yep. Well, all this gimmick stuff would impede the people in the upper deck from being able to watch the match.
See the smoke coming out of the Dragon over there?
Yeah.
Of course, they sold a WCW playset version of this cage. It was red. I had it. What'd you think of the cage that leaned forward like this? They're going to use it 2 years later for the Chamber of Horrors. They won't put as much shit on it. They'll put an electric chair in the middle instead.
I didn't like the cage at all because it had a lot of give to it. Like you're seeing with Terry right there.
Yeah.
To me, it didn't.
Doesn't look menacing.
That's right. A cage had to be just, solid.
I've always loved that Funk doing this. Like, what is he doing? I'm going left. I'm going right. I'm going left. I'm going right.
He's being Terry Funk is what he's doing.
Now, I don't know if you can see it, but above him, a little fire has broken out. There you go.
Yeah.
They're trying to slap at it. Quit it, barbarian. Quit. Put that thing away.
It's on fire, Tommy Young. Put it out.
Easy way or hard way. By the way, had some nice comments about our Sting debut last week where he was getting choked out. Mm-hmm. I made a little one-liner. Here goes Muta.
Yeah. Interesting. I guess Dave Meltzer was in the audience, right?
Yeah. He used to come to these shows.
Oh, okay. Well, the fire's out. Let's get the match going here, guys.
Well, the referee had to go figure it out.
Hey, I think it was funny when you were listing all the things that were a part of the cage.
Yeah.
You mentioned and a mailbox. I'm thinking that's so fucking random. Dragon's Head, cobwebs, Halloween. I get that. And a mailbox. Whatever.
Had to be an inside joke.
It had to be.
Let's see. There was no blood in this match by orders, not only from TBS, but from Pennsylvania state law. When the commission was dropped, a law was placed in the books that any blading could result in a loss of license for the promotion. By the way, Funk's hand is cut here, but that's different. It's not like he cut his hand. It's just, it happened.
Yeah.
While nobody has called anyone on it yet, they've done blood on every NWA show in Pittsburgh of late without commission jurisdiction. Apparently there was a warning before this show that the law would be enforced tonight, and if violated, the implied threat was a great penalty and that it would be enforced. Still, in pre-match publicity, a bloodbath was strongly suggested, and I'm sure many fans watching on pay-per-view, no matter how good the match was, were disappointed there was no juice. Still, Flair and Funk traded ramming each other's heads into the cage. There was a lot of climbing the cage, particularly by Funk. One highlight was with Flair and Funk both battling while holding on to one side of the cage. Flair started doing the stiff chop while Funk held on with one hand. There were spots in which both teams looked to be beaten with submission holds, but the Terminators refused to throw in the towel. When Muta used the Indian Deathlock Chinlock combination submission, which fans haven't been educated yet, so they don't know it's a finisher. By the way, he's talking about an STF. Yep. That was the spot where Ole got over that no matter what, he wasn't throwing in the towel. Finish saw Funk use a roll to tie Sting by the ankle. He says roll, but he means rope into the cage high in the air. And then Funk got down and they gave Flair a stuffed pile driver. Ole Anderson climbed the cage to untie Sting, and Sting did the move of the night, flying from the top of the cage with a crossbody block onto Funk, which for a moment I thought was going to do in both of them for good. Sting caught Funk with the move in a manner which appeared to take out Funk's already crippled knees, and Funk got up like his knee was out, but the guy works an injury better than anyone. Muta climbed to the top rope for the moonsault, and Sting drop kicked his butt, and Muta crotched himself for the top rope. Flair then put Funk in the figure four with Muta incapacitated. Sting then twice leaped off the top rope onto a splash of both men when Flair had Funk in the figure 4, but Hart continually refused to throw in the towel. Muta gets back up, shoves Sammartino, who decks Muta. Sammartino's back was turned. Anderson decks Hart, and Hart's towel flies in. Sammartino sees the towel and raises Flair's hand in victory. I guess for some, the sight of Sammartino raising Ric Flair's hand had some historical significance, but I think the majority of the crowd and audience were lost on the significance of Flair, Sammartino, and Funk in the same ring for the first time ever. 4 stars.
Oh, very cool. I, through all of that, and one thing that hit me, this may have changed because obviously I've not been around wrestling long enough in the modern era to know, but back then, state athletic commissions were a fucking sham.
Yeah.
They were just a way it was a revenue builder.
Yeah.
And and the commissioners that came just wanted to get good seats. That's all. So I don't know if it is now, but
I was told by, one of our mutual friends in wrestling, the athletic commission still would come backstage to wrestling shows, either to watch guys get dressed or get autographs for their kids.
Yep, that's right.
So apparently there's some athletic commission personnel out there somewhere who the boys think might just be there for the hog watching.
Yep, probably so. I've told you about, do you remember the story I've told you about the Great American Bash in Philadelphia Veterans Stadium?
Yep. Tell it again.
All right. So there was this one commissioner. He was tall. He wore jeans and cowboy boots and slicked his hair back. He had gray hair, and he was like one of the top commissioners, and, thought that when an event came to Philadelphia or Pennsylvania, I guess, that he was the man in charge. And he went and he said something backstage, and Dusty basically told him to go fuck himself, and he was going to shut us down. I remember going to the back. He said, "You guys are shut down." That did, and he started to walk away. And Jimmy said, "Listen, we need to talk. There's something we got to do about it." And I had to go. They finally got it squared away. But I remember him saying, "You guys are shut down. We're out of here." And he and all the commissioners in tow were walking out of the dressing room. And I remember Doug Dillinger telling me, Doug said, the night was going to go on. And I said, "What do you mean?" He said, if push came to shove, we were going to put him in a room and lock the door and force him to stay in that room and not get out and suffer the consequences afterwards. Which I think would have been wonderful had that happened. I think that obviously didn't happen, but wouldn't that have been a great story? Motherfucker, stay in this fucking room and you're not leaving. Oh, yes, I am. No, this guy named Mike Hegstrand here, he's going to make sure you stay in this room. It was before cell phones. Who is he going to call, right? To come get him. I think that would have been a great story. So anyway, and here's my question about bleeding. Suppose the Pennsylvania State Athletic Commission says no blood, and suppose someone's head would have opened up on a cage right here by accident, because it happened a lot. I mean, guys had cut themselves so much, as you know, that especially guys like Flair and Funk, who've been doing it for a long time. Boy, Muta could throw a working punch, couldn't he?
Oh, he's so good, dude.
Jeez. So let's just say they just so happened to hit their head and they started bleeding. Was the commissioner going to stop it then? And could he prove that was a blade? I don't think so. I think they should have fucking bled and dared the commissioners to stop it. My feeling. But that's because of my feeling about athletic commissions. Now, 2017, they may be different. But back then, they were bad news, buddy. Yeah, man, everything Muta did was tremendous.
The readers of the Wrestling Observer gave this 40.3% thumbs up, 57.5% thumbs down, 2.1% thumbs in the middle. Some of the comments.
About the event. I'm sorry, you talking about the event or the match?
The event.
Okay, all right.
Pretty disappointing. They were billing it as an electric cage and one shock, and that was it. That's from Mike in Rockdale. Apprehensive thumbs up. The final match almost blew it. I loved Warriors versus Skyscrapers. Why did they even use Tommy Rich on this card? His match was horrible. I wasn't real impressed with Doom. That's Peter in Minnesota. And this line from Fred in Daly City, California says, overall thumbs down, because even the matches that were good didn't interest me because I just didn't care about them. It didn't seem like this was a major pay-per-view card. Why was Robin Green put in an outfit that made her look like Jane Wyman on Falcon Crest? On Saturday's TV, they put her in something that accentuated the greatest body in the United States today. To cover it up was the biggest mistake of the card. I love that this old fucker is like Tony Schiavone out there. Yeah. Let's see what Robin's wearing.
Where, did I miss Robin? Where was she?
Her name is Woman.
Oh,
you know her as Woman.
Okay.
Nancy,
I didn't realize. I didn't even know her real name. Isn't that something?
Nancy.
I always knew her as Nancy,
but her gimmick name was Robin Green, and then she became Woman.
Okay.
You remember she was the low key obsessed with Rick Steiner. Got his credit card, spent all his money, turned on him, the whole deal. Yeah. That was when she was Robin Green.
Got it.
She would become Woman with Doom, I believe.
Got it. Well, there you go.
Let's also mention, the show drew 9,562 fans paying $137,244. Meltzer would say, from being there live, no way that is the case, since with equipment, the place was supposed to be a sellout at 9,300. An NWA source gave me 7,300 fans and $110,000 gate, which looks legit since it appears to be about 2,000 shy of a sellout. Either way, it's the second largest live gate of the year for the NWA and one of the larger paid crowds of the year. So it's behind Baltimore's Great American Bash. He says the ring introductions, while more elaborate than at a normal house show, were not as spectacular as the previous 3 NWA pay-per-view cards. Overall, the entire aura of the card, even from the start, was nothing compared to previous pay-per-view shows I've attended. During the Luger Pillman match, they had cheerleaders come out with Pillman, and during the match, they ran around the lower deck trying to get fans to cheer for Pillman. And all it did was take fans out of the match because they were watching the cheerleaders. That may be why there was no intensity in the crowd during the build-up phase, and even a boring chant during a match that went really hot in its last few minutes.
Oh, geez.
What do you think though? You're old school. Ric Flair, Terry Funk, Bruno Sammartino in the ring together for the first time.
Pretty fucking cool if you ask me.
I mean, really process what we're talking about too. Let's just start top to bottom. Ole Anderson, Hall of Famer, legend. Right. Gary Hart, Hall of Famer, legend. Terry Funk, one of the all-time Mount Rushmore talents. Ric Flair, arguably the greatest wrestler of all time. The Great Muta, one of the biggest international stars, certainly when it comes to the history of wrestling in Japan. One of the tippy top stars, arguably the most famous ever in America. And Sting, the franchise player for the whole company. And oh, by the way, your referee is at this point the most decorated and celebrated WWF world champion of all time. It is all the stars. And oh, by the way, how about a cage match that apparently has electricity running through it in certain spots and fire breathing dragons? Holy shit. You pulled out all the stops for this.
The electricity, have they shocked anybody yet?
Well, it said one shock and that's it. So I guess we haven't gotten there yet.
Yeah, maybe we haven't.
But when they go to the Chamber of Horrors in Chattanooga, Tennessee in 2 years, as we know then, we're literally going to have an electric chair in the middle. And
yes,
Arn Anderson and I just watched that. Oh, there it goes. Got him. It shocked Muta. Yeah.
But no, I didn't, did you see sparks?
No. And if you get lit up where cows are at on a farm, you don't see sparks then either. You just shit your pants and move on about your day.
Oh, I get it. So they should have done more electric shock. In other words, Terry Funk should have shook his hands and sold a little bit more.
Muta shook his hand real bad and blew on.
That was the one time. That was it.
No pleasing you.
No, please. I pick apart everything.
That's what we know about you most of all.
Yeah. Most of all. Yeah.
I don't know why you're mad at me.
Not mad at you. You dumbass.
Now you're cussing me. Name calling me. You want to guess what you were doing that day, or what y'all were doing that day?
Let's see. You
had 4 shows.
Really?
You had a matinee show in Springfield, Mass at the Civic Center. The scheduled main event went on first, as many of the wrestlers were not yet at the arena because their plane from Detroit had not yet arrived until 1:50. The matinee was supposed to be starting at 1, but they pushed it back to 2:30, and the early matches were stalled to kill time and allow the rest of the talent to arrive. So Savage and Duggan go 23 minutes in the first match. What would close the show is Ultimate Warrior, the Intercontinental Champion, beating Dino Bravo. They also did a show in Sioux City, Iowa, with Jake Roberts and Ted DiBiase on top. That was not a matinee. That was the evening show. Another matinee had Dusty Rhodes and Big Boss Man, Demolition versus Arn and Tully, and Roddy Piper and Rick Rude. That one happened in Glen Falls, New York. I don't know why you wouldn't have Duggan there, but whatever. And then famously, yeah, y'all are running Madison Square Garden here and taping Prime Time. It would air on the MSG network the next day, but then they would air it on Primetime Wrestling through the course of November, December, and even one match from 1990, which went to a time limit draw with Bret Hart and Dino Bravo. But the big thing here is the Ultimate Warrior pinning Andre the Giant. So that's what you're doing in 1989 with the WWF.
Wow. 4 shows.
Yep.
4.
2 matinees, 2 evenings, Glen Falls, New York, Springfield, Mass, Sioux City, Iowa, Madison Square Garden.
Wow. Amazing.
You kept it up the next day too. You had 3 shows the next day, 1 in Colorado, 1 in Ontario, and 1 in Pennsylvania. The travel schedule you guys did back then was just fucking unreal.
Yeah, yes, it was.
By the way, we're not talking a lot of shit during this match because it's really a good match, and I think you should go out of your way to see it. I love these individual performers. How about Sting there, swinging around like Tarzan on that rope?
Yeah, I agree. You should. I mean, you got great performers, as you mentioned. Hall of Fame.
Oh, how about Sting right there, swinging with that rope over? That's fun stuff.
Yeah, that is. If it's there, use it, right? That's why I said you need to have more electricity running through that thing.
Yeah, let's fry Terry Funk.
No, let's have him gimmick last.
Dude, Sting swinging around. It's hilarious.
Yeah. Swinging around and kicking him in the midsection.
By the way, next week here on the show, we're going to Villa Park, Illinois, the Odeum Expo Center. It's all dying days of ECW. It's November to Remember 2000. Steve Corino is going to take on Just Incredible, the Sandman, and Jerry Lynn in a double Jeopardy match for the world title. For the tag straps, we've got the Unholy Alliance, Mikey Whipwreck and Tajiri taking on the FBI. We've got New Jack and Rhino for the TV title. How about a Flaming Tables match with Balls Mahoney and Chili Willy taking on the Baldies? We got Nova working with Chris Chetty in a loser leaves town match. We've got a 6-man tag with Hot Commodity, which is our friend and pal, Chris Hamrick, teaming with Easy Money and Julio De Niro. And they're going to be taking on Spike, Danny Doring, and Roadkill. We've also got a singles match with Kid Cash and C.W. Anderson. And to get us started, we've got the Bad Street Boys, Christian York and Joey Matthews taking on Simon Diamond and Johnny Swinger. Lots happening here in the dying days of ECW. November to Remember 2000 coming up next week right here on What Happened When.
Yeah. And we'll see blood then, I'll bet.
That's a fair bet.
Yeah. Also need to say that we had talked and promoted that we were going to watch the Raw from 2005, with Vince, and the
Hey, I was
JR.
stupid. That's not an STF. That's a different maneuver. My apologies. Anyway, continue. We are going to watch that Raw you want to.
Yeah, we are. We are going to watch it eventually.
Yeah, we're going to do it over at adfreeshows.com. That'll be our bonus episode coming up real soon. But I really want to make you watch that terrible Heroes of Wrestling show. All these bonus shows, by the way, and this show, you get early and ad free over at adfreeshows.com. And, as we've talked about, little mansplaining and of course that new Badass Belt series, and got a very special one-off thing coming your way that we can't promote just yet. But I know what you're most excited about. Most of all is, the AFS happy hour with Rebel and Medusa.
Yeah, I'm excited. There's nothing like virtual. See, here's the deal. All you sad news bears are pissed off that I'm able to actually talk to Rebel, actually hug her at times, actually have her pull hair off my chest. You're jealous about that. So you're trying to make up for it by doing something virtual with her, but there's Sting cross. Look at that, man.
How about Sting? Let's listen to Jim Ross do his thing a little bit.
All right, let's do it.
Complete disregard for his own body, Jim, when he came flying into the ring from so far away.
And now Muta goes up the cage. Will he touch the wire? That's electrified. He's right up on top of it. Muta would like to, I guess, go to the land of the rising sun right now. He may be fried wonton if he gets hold of that top very strongly.
That's where he's trying to go. Again, Jim, we don't think it's possible. I don't see how anybody can climb over that thing.
Big chops, but Flair is working on the leg. Can you sense, Bob, you've seen him longer than I. Figure four.
Figure four coming. And he wants that on Funk. He wants it so bad. The hatred that he has for Funk, he just may try to break that leg off if he gets him in that figure four.
Muta and Sting battling it out up on the cage. High above the ring. Flair working on the leg of Funk viciously, and Funk cannot even stand.
I like the way Jim Ross would pronounce Muta.
Yeah.
How about he's trying to be,
love Bob Cottle's voice too.
Oh, classic. I did, sort of wonder how much of this, when you go back and you play, you realize, ooh, couldn't say that today. Like Muta talking about, oh, if he climbs over that top rope, he may be fried wonton.
I know.
Fucking A. Here's the thing. At the time, nobody batted an eye. Nobody thought anything about it. And now, as we're all better and we've learned and we've evolved, we're like, oh shit, we can't say that. Probably never should have, but times change, pal. We're getting better.
Yeah, I get it.
Here we go. Here comes your big finish. A couple of splashes from Sting is going to do this in, I think. See the first one. And then when he hits the second one, it's going to be really, really high energy. How about Sting knows exactly what to do? Just look around the crowd. They're going to get into it. One. I think Fox told him do another one.
Yeah. Gary Hart shaking his head. No, I'm not throwing in the towel. Forget it.
Here we go.
They bring brutalized, and Gary Hart does not even have an inkling to throw the towel in. Once again, right off the top.
You saw Bruno's chop that way.
He just nailed it. Flair has got the figure four locked in so deeply. There's only Anderson. There's a towel.
But the towel went up.
There it is. You saw the towel.
How funny is it? Gary threw it and it literally landed on Bruno's back and he had to reach for it.
I know. Yeah.
What a visual though.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. That's 4-star match. Absolutely.
It was fun. A lot of star power. Fun little deal here.
Hell, we still got 5 minutes left in the show.
Yep. Well,
what are they going to do? They going to talk for 5 minutes?
Look at you getting hot.
I'm not getting hot. I think it's interesting how
here's what they're going to do.
Okay.
They're going to get all this shit out of the way. And then they're going to have Flair and Funk sit down for a steak dinner and break out into a fucking song and dance musical number to send us out of here.
I was wondering when you were going to get onto that. Wow. Eventually you were going to say something about it.
What?
I wish they'd let me sing a musical number.
Well, they got 5 minutes left. They could have Kenny Omega beat Sonny Kiss 19 times and still have time left over.
Wow. Do you give Bruce as much shit about the WWE?
Buddy, I love AEW. I watch every week. What are you talking about?
Just wondering.
I mean, first of all, I'm excited that the cleaner is back and that Kenny Omega is going to be a focused feature. I mean, we know he's the best bout machine. He's had some of the best wrestling matches in history, but he's sort of taken a back seat for whatever strategic reason that made sense. But now we're going to see the Kenny of old. That's really exciting. And there's no denying that one of the better rated segments of the week was, Chris Jericho doing a little, Broadway tune. Actually, I liked it so much. I sent you footage of MJF in high school doing a musical, and he did a great job.
It's amazing.
I think MJF low key might actually be a better singer than MJF. I mean, that's what I mean. MJF's a better singer than Jericho.
Yeah. I
mean, Jericho is certainly a rock star. Not arguing that.
Right.
But I'm just saying that really fit for MJF. And that's what you want with a badass heel. You know, if he's the most hated heel, you want that motherfucker tap dancing, just piss you off.
You want that motherfucking tap That's a hell of a line.
That's heat. Motherfucker can sing, he can dance, and he's been telling us he's better than us, and goddamn it, I'm starting to believe him. Howdy folks, I'm Jim Ross. I'm going to be calling this shit for a long, long time, Bob Caudle. Now, unlike you, you're going to cash out early.
Yeah, well, Jim, here's the fact that I've done a lot. I worked for Jesse Helms. I worked in politics. And I just thought, you know what? It's time for me to give it up. But for you, you live this stuff.
Well, that's exactly right. I do. And I've been put in the unenviable task of babysitting Gordon Soleil. I've learned that we need to do those pre-tapes first thing in the morning, because if he spends any time in the crown room, it's all downhill from there. But if anybody knows that, it's you, Bob Caudle. Isn't that right? Nope. Never mind. I forgot. I'm Jim Ross. I'm still talking probably about how you can get sauce, ketchup, mustard, seasoning, jerky, books. I got it all at jrsbbq.com. Got a lot of money, like a little more. Go ahead and check it out. jrsbbq.com. We're going to get the shit to you on time. It's going to taste great, and I'm going to get paid. And that's what's most important, me getting paid. And listen, I'd like to let you say goodbye, Bob Caudle, but I'm not done talking. I want to talk about the Cowboy. I want to talk about Dr. Death. I want to talk about how I'm running this promotion. And in a few years, I'm going to get shown the door by Eric Bischoff. That little bastard is going to keep my household appliances. I'm going to go work for Vince. He's going to pull my own head out of my own ass and have his wife kick me in the balls.
Well, here's another thing. We understand that in later life, you're also going to babysit Tony Schiavone.
Well, that's exactly right. Old slapdick Tony Schiavone don't believe in showering, much less personal hygiene. Sometimes his wife dresses him. I couldn't imagine it being any worse. Then I saw the way she dressed. I decided I needed to take him to Men's Warehouse. I told him he'd love the way he looked. Turns out he went to the Tommy Bahama outlet. Now he looks like Captain Lou Albano's illegitimate son. He looks like an anteater drinking through a straw. That's an Arn Andersonism. Nobody knows what the fuck it means, but it's like Roddy Piper. If you say it fast, you'll be okay.
Well, he also looks like a olive with toothpicks running through it. 4 of them.
4 of them. That's the number of kids he's got now. I know he's got 5, but he don't claim the one. Well, so long, folks. We're out of here for Halloween Havoc 1989. Jim Hurd right up front.
Look who's next. Rolls behind him, man.
Oh, look at this. Keith Mitchell, Craig Leathers. What's Craig Leathers up to these days?
Who gives a flying fuck?
Oh,
Rick Fancher. Rick was working with us in AEW for a bit.
What do you remember about old Bruce Greenhut?
No longer with us as far as working with us.
He said it like he died.
No, I don't think. Ron Sutton, Ernie Watts, Mike Snyder.
Wait a minute. Where was your boy? Where was Jackie?
I don't know. Good question. We didn't even see Jackie at ringside, did we? Usually you can see him quite well.
You know, that's what I want one day. I want to have my name next to the words crane driver. Graphic design, James Burns. Fuck him. Dave Silva could work circles around him.
Really?
Yeah.
You got Dave Silva and work. Woo.
Boy, when did you and Dave have a breakup?
We never had a breakup.
Sounds like a breakup.
No, it's not a breakup.
Well, that's it, boys and girls. World Championship Wrestling 1989, all rights reserved. And we hope you reserve the right to join us next week. We also hope you'll join us over at adfreeshows.com and of course, patreon.com/WHW Monday. We're home stretching it. And the last few days of the month is always where you get all the good stuff on Patreon. We're going to bring you two bonus shows exclusive to patreon.com/WHW Monday. And of course, we're going to get to that Heroes of Wrestling pay-per-view and the October 25th, 2005 Raw, where Vince pulls JR's head out of his own ass. Lots of fun stuff. You get all these shows early and ad free. Of course, fun interactive events, including Tony. We've buried the lead this Friday. I'm so excited about this. You and I have Hallows Eve Havoc. We've got Spin the Wheel, Make the Deal. People are going to be joining us on ad free shows in costume. I've already got my costume picked out. I know Eric Bischoff will be joining us. I think Arn Anderson is going to be making a cameo this weekend at adfreeshows.com. Lots of fun stuff happening, but we're going to announce the full fall schedule for all the new shows and give you guys some previews and some sneak peeks at some projects we're working on. But me and you and Eric Bischoff dressed up for Halloween, Spin the Wheel, Make the Deal. Come on. Hallows Eve Havoc, adfreeshows.com. That's a good time.
Great time. Look forward to it. Very excited about it. Very excited to be able to connect with the fans, which is what we love to do, don't we?
We do. And, thanks for being so verbose there and stretching for me. Here's where I'll say now, Tony, it's about that time.
It is about that time. It is Tony Schiavone one-on-one against the Pennsylvania Athletic Commission. And as Schiavone walks to the ring, he has a sledgehammer and he cracks one of them in the head. But wait a minute. You got to stop the match because that guy is bleeding. Was it juice or was it the hard way? Only Tony knows. And we'll see you next time on What Happened When. We come to you Wednesdays on Westwood One. But don't forget, on Mondays, we're with our friends, our pals, our comrades on
Patreon. Patreon.com/WHW Monday. And don't forget adfreeshows.com.
Hey, it's Conrad Thompson. Thanks for checking out the podcast here on YouTube. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notifications bell so you get a notice anytime we upload some new content. And go save yourself some money right now. If you're in a 30-year loan or you have credit card debt, it's not a matter of if I can save you money. It's a matter of how much. Find out right now for free at SaveWithConrad.com.